Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back for another GSD Power Hour session. And I realize I started again with alrighty. I think 9 out of 10 webinars I start with alrighty. So alrighty, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So welcome back, GSD Power Hour. Last week we had an incredible session where I took you through one of my mastermind presentations on how to build your own StartupBros and build your own kind of content influencer platform. So that was pretty off the beaten track. Obviously, most of us are selling on Amazon or selling on Shopify, doing something with physical products. So that was a little bit off the beaten trail. And this week, we're going to take you guys back on the beaten trail. So this week, I have an incredible story for you. And we're going to bring in our guest in just a little bit here. Let me take you through just a couple of updates before we get into it. This week's updates and announcements, obviously, it is Thanksgiving. So hopefully everyone has a good holiday and everything. Obviously, it's worth pointing out that obviously the main sales rush of Q4 is from Black Friday to December 18th. Black Friday to December 18th, if you have a product that's going to sell hot as a Christmas gift or a present, it's going to go usually between those dates. The interesting thing that's happening this year with Amazon's deal week that they keep on doing every year, I think people are really starting to forget about Thanksgiving, and the holiday sales rush is starting to happen a little bit earlier. I think within a couple of years we're going to get to a point where Halloween is pretty much the beginning of the holiday sales rush. November 1st hits, and from November to December 18th, you're going to see just massive sales. So some of you are probably already experiencing the huge increase in sales volume. I know a lot of people in the Facebook group I've seen doing different lightning deals and different promotions and things like that. So keep an eye in there because people that are finding these new methods to take advantage of Black Friday, they're going to be posting it in the group and sharing the results in there. So make sure you keep an eye out. And if you have products, make sure you're trying to sell them because obviously, again, Black Friday to December 18th is the majority of Q4 sales. So that is the time you want to do it. Other weekly updates and announcements, we don't have a ton. The one other thing I want to talk about, though, is the Audience Influencer Jumpstart program. I think we have a good amount of spots left, so we're not going to fill up anytime soon. You guys are still good to go if you want to jump in this. The Audience Influencer Jumpstart program, as we talked about before on last week's session, is pretty much a 6-week group coaching program where we're going to build your own startup bros. So we're going to make you or your brand an influencer, and I'm pretty much going to take you guys through exactly what I do in both Startup Bros and Simply Organic Beauty to position those brands as influencers and experts and thought leaders to their target customers. So Audience Influencer Jumpstart program, again, is all about finding that target customer, figuring out how to serve that target customer and how to add value to their lives, and then getting out there and doing it and pushing that value in front of them so your target audience actually sees it. And so you have kind of a scalable first impression that every single customer that interacts with you is going to go through this introduction to you or your brand, and through that introduction process, they're going to leave with the perception that you or your brand is the absolute expert in whatever you want to be an expert in. So it's really about how to build your own Startup Bros, how to build your own Simply Organic Beauty, the content platform, the actual thought leadership branding. That's what we're going to talk a lot about in the Audience Influencer Jumpstart program. Obviously, we don't do many group coaching programs anymore, so this is one of the few 6-week group coaching programs we're going to be doing. And it's actually going to be 7 weeks. We're going to give you guys a bonus week. I'll spoil the surprise now. So it's going to be a 7-week group coaching program. If you guys want in, and I know a lot of people in the question box are already saying, I'm in, so awesome stuff. I'm looking forward to it with you guys. It starts on December 7th. And we'll have the official webinar and welcome letters going out to everyone in the next few days here. Just after the holidays, you'll probably see all of that hit your inbox. So if you're already in, look for that welcome letter, say Monday next week. And if you're not in, you guys are good to go for quite a little bit. Again, we're capping this at 250 people. Obviously, we've only talked about this to you guys so far, so we're nowhere near that 250 limit. So you guys are good to go, and this coupon is going to be available at least for another week or two. So 50% off for all e-commerce Empire members. It's a 7-week coaching program about building your own platform and becoming a thought leader. And you're going to get that for, I think it's like $497. So it's a pretty extreme deal for you guys. and just use the alumni coupon code if you want to jump in. And the page is obviously startupbros.com/start. It'll take you through. Again, there's no like official video or landing page for this program yet. We're still actively building it out, and obviously you guys are the first to know about it, and you guys are getting the best price. So that's the best price right there, alumni coupon code. And that is all I will talk about the Audience Influencer Jumpstart program today. So Kevin Foster just joined and said, how late am I? My friend, you are right on time because we are about to transition into the main attraction of today's GSD session. So just a couple months ago, we had our Sourcing Summit event. As a lot of you know, as some of you were even with us on the event, so Sourcing Summit event, we go over to China, and it's a once-a-year event. We go every April now, but our last event was actually in October. And when I was flying back from the Sourcing Summit event, I am typically the person that just absolutely hates to be talked to on airplanes at all. I try to avoid all airplane conversations at all costs. But the one exception I made to it ended up being a very good exception. So so I met two guys on the plane, and the guy that was sitting next to me, he was talking to me about Amazon stuff. That was great. And the guy in front of me overheard us talking and turned around and said, hey, I'm an Amazon seller too. So we got to talking and got into each other's stories a little bit, and I heard this story and this little factoid, and right when I heard this factoid, I was like, man, we have got to bring you on one of our weekly webinar sessions because this is an incredible story. So Brock Johnson, who I'm going to be introducing in just a second here, guy I met on the plane ride back from China just a few months ago. And when I was traveling with him, he told me this story of making $6 million in 6 months with solar eclipse glasses. And it wasn't that he had been selling on Amazon for 5-6 years and he was an absolute expert and he knew that this solar eclipse thing was going to be huge and he knew how to cut the corners right. Because if you're familiar with what happened with the solar eclipse glasses, most sellers got knocked off of Amazon. So Amazon only allowed, I think, 2 sellers to sell these solar eclipse glasses, and Brock Johnson, who we're going to introduce in just a second here, ended up being one of them. So in his first 6 months selling on Amazon, Brock made $6 million in revenue. And I think he even told me while we were traveling together, he's like, man, I'll tell you what, so often people are saying, oh, it's too late to get into the Amazon game, and oh, it's starting to get saturated. And yet here's Brock, who just jumped in and within his first 6 months of trying makes $6 million. Clearly this market's got a lot of growth in it, and clearly you don't need to be a huge developed seller to take advantage of big opportunities like this. I think once we bring Brock in and he tells us his story a little bit, I think you'll hear that it was almost by accident. I don't think he expected to make $6 million in 6 months. Brock told me that there was even one day where he did I think it was $482,000 or $487,000 in just FBM sales. So he had to ship them all out of his house and just absolute chaos. And that was one day, $500,000. So absolutely incredible story here, and I am going to bring him in now. And Brock, hopefully you are unmuted, my friend. Hopefully you can turn your webcam on and everything too.
Ooh, can you hear me?
Yep, absolutely. And hopefully you can turn your webcam on too. That'd be awesome.
I think we're loading here. There we go.
All right, perfect. Yeah, so everyone, welcome Brock Johnson here. I'll turn it over to you, Brock, to take everyone through kind of your backstory because I'm not super familiar with it either. What I just told everyone, I think, is the extent of what I know about your story. So I guess let us know to start, you know, how did you get involved in this whole Amazon thing, and take us up to the point of these solar eclipse glasses. So before we get into the $6 million, what happened before that? How did you get spurred and inspired to get into this industry? And were there any failures and flops along the way to the success?
Oh yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me on. Hello, everybody. But yeah, so my story. When did I get started? I got started I started out with selling video games on eBay and everything, and I had an internship working at an insurance company, and man, did it suck. And I decided I'm never going to go and get a corporate job, and the dream was to go and start my own company the day I graduated college. And so I set out to do that my final semester of senior year. So I wrote a program that would analyze Nintendo 64 games on eBay and see what they sold for, and then people would sell them in big lots. So like grandma, grandpa, or something, you know, the kids, oh, we got this big box of games, we'll sell them. So it would kind of analyze past sales and then see what a lot was worth, and then go in and bid with 1 second left at a calculated rate. And I made it so that I would make like $20 an hour. And that was like my first taste of really making money on the internet. But you learn really quick when you're selling on eBay, dealing with video game collectors, that that's not what you want to do for the rest of your life, because they are picky. Super picky.
You definitely feel the you definitely have the mindset shift that you can, because I don't know how much you're making at the insurance company, but it's probably somewhere around $20 an hour. So obviously much more fun to sit at home and bid on video games than sit at work all day.
Yeah, so that was great. But then I realized, all right, well, these video games, they just don't sell for enough, so I need to get into more expensive items. I didn't have the realization that I should go to something more scalable. I just thought, well, if I'm trading my time for money, at least let me trade it for more money. So then I got into flipping computers, so like big iMacs and stuff, like those big old iMacs. And what I found is, one big lesson that I then later applied to private label is, so whenever there's more barriers to entry or research that needs to be done, there's a bigger opportunity to be made. So there's a lot of differences about these different iMac computers, and what is a 3-year-old one worth versus 7 versus a brand new one, and you know, all these different things that they could do. So was doing that, and got that to the point where I could make about $150, $200 an hour doing that. But they were, like my wife quit her job, then worked for me, but she complained about having to unpackage all these computers and package them, and it just wasn't scalable, and I didn't enjoy it. And I had old people calling me all the time saying, how do I get this to work?
Oh, I'm sure. I can't imagine.
So then, but I was selling these on Amazon, but just because like I realized I could sell them for 60% more on Amazon. So I would actually source them by buying them on eBay and selling them on Amazon. And I didn't make any listings. I just would literally hit like sell now on existing iMac listings. And I did that with video games too. So I technically been selling on Amazon longer, but I mean, I didn't know anything about selling on Amazon. All I knew was like, oh, I can just sell in this listing.
Yeah, so you did mostly arbitrage for a while. It sounds like
I arbitraged for 2 years.
Okay, so you did online arbitrage. Do you do retail arbitrage as well? So you actually going out to stores?
So I did retail arbitrage, and specifically I would do really good on going to like Shopko's and then doing Black Friday and stuff. Like I actually made 30 grand in 3 days last Black Friday.
Nice. That's all profit?
Yeah, 30 grand profit in 3 days.
Yeah, that's great.
Just from buying stuff from Kohl's and Best Buy and then selling
now,
it.
what do you think? What do you think the status of Black Label is now? Because this is great to hear. We actually, with our training program for e-commerce empire, we give people a course on retail arbitrage for free, because I think that's how I got started when I was really young. I started just flipping anything I could find in stores, online, anything I can make a spread on. So I think it's a really good way to get the ball rolling, get your feet wet with e-commerce, and then transition into wholesale and private label. Do you think retail arbitrage is still viable? I know it's a shrinking opportunity, but in your view, could you still go out this Black Friday and make 30 grand?
I could make 150 grand this Black Friday.
So even
300
better.
if I really wanted to, and I had the right VPN set up, and I would have brought enough prepaid cards ahead of time, I could make 300 grand this Black Friday. But it's a hustle. It is a hustle. I filled 3 UPS trucks last year, and that was 30 grand. I don't know how many UPS trucks I would fill this year, and my wife would kill me. She's just saying, Brock, you said you're not going to do stuff just for the money anymore. We have money. I'm not doing this. But luckily, she's in Mexico right now, so I could do it and hire people off Craigslist. But no, but I'm actually giving away. I just recorded a video right before this, and I'm just teaching everybody the deals and my criteria for, like, if you want to get into retail arb and do online arbitrage, check out my YouTube. I'm just like, there's no pitch, no nothing. I know all this info on how to make money, but I don't need to do it anymore. And I know that what got me started was learning how to do retail arbitrage and this online arbitrage, and that's how I got. If I wouldn't have done all of that, I wouldn't have had the money when this Eclipse opportunity happened to launch, and I wouldn't have had the know-how for Amazon. Like, you learn so many things about supply and demand, Amazon listings, and everything by doing retail arbitrage. It's the best training wheels.
Yeah. I mean, we tell that to people all the time, but it's tough to communicate. Most people just want to go straight to the biggest dream possible, and
well, yeah, they want the 4-hour work week. They want the easy. If you look at the Facebook ads, that's what they want. Yeah, that's what sells, but unfortunately not the best.
Yeah. We'll absolutely, we'll have to grab that video for you, and we'll make sure to make that available to everyone here. And because I'm sure a lot of people want to see about that. So that covers retail and online arbitrage, I guess, because we'll get that video from you.
I'll be posting that later tonight, and people can see. Like, literally, this is actionable in the next 2 days. Because like you were saying in the beginning of this, Black Friday moved back earlier. Guess what? It already started yesterday at 12:01 in the morning. And I just did it as an example, and I made like $2,000 in an hour doing it. And but I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna do much more of this. But it's So
nice.
People could check that out.
We'll definitely have to grab that video. I think everyone's gonna love to see that. So so you did retail and online arbitrage for about 2 years before taking the leap. What spurred you to take the leap? Was it just the pure hustle of retail arbitrage, the continuous grind of trading dollars for hours, or?
I look at trends. I look at things analytically, and I look at trends. And what else? The other big way I made money was Radio Shack went out of business. Many people are familiar with. And I went to over 300 different Radio Shacks around the country over the course of a year.
Okay. I was going to say, did you just buy an RV and just not stop driving?
No, I just rented a U-Haul, and I just would do it. And, I would go out, and I was making about $5,000 a day doing it when they were going out. So, but it would come and go because they closed in different waves. So I would do it, and then I would have no work for 2 months. And then it would happen, but it was perfect because it would allow me to double my money and then sell and then get cash, and then another round of them will go out. So I was able to parlay my money like that. But what happened was all the Radio Shacks went out of business. They're down to 13 now. They were at 5,000. So I couldn't keep riding that gravy train. And then I didn't like doing the computers, and I just realized I need something that's scalable, that will work for me when I'm not working, that's more reliable and sustainable. So
were you familiar with the concept of scalability before getting into all this, or did you pretty much discover what scalability was because of this?
Yeah, so I guess what I learned was I made systems and processes to make myself more effective all the time, and I kept doing that. But you can only make yourself so effective at the end of the day. And yeah, I guess that's where I was always aware, and I would listen to startup books, and they say, talk about doing something scalable, but I'm a big believer that there's just certain things you don't learn until you experience them yourself.
Yeah. There's certain things you don't learn until you're ready to smash your head against the wall in frustration.
Yeah, basically. And those have been some of the best learning experiences of my life, have been the worst. So
yeah, for sure. I definitely my experience mirrors that. So all right, cool. So you did all that. The Radio Shack, how far was that? Pretty much the last thing you did before getting into I mean, I don't know if the solar eclipse glasses were your first product that you kind of did wholesale / private label with. But,
yeah. So
was it Radio Shack to that?
Yeah, essentially what I did was I had some. Oh, no. Here's what it was. This is what really said, all right, screw this. I'm going private label. So I had been doing wholesale with Radio Shack, actually. And so it was great. They would just send me their product, and I would sell it on Amazon. I didn't know why they wouldn't sell it themselves. But then eventually they caught on, and they started to sell it themselves. And then I had a repricer, and they didn't. And because they're like this corporation, they don't know what's going on. And then they're just starting to get pissed off. And apparently, their whole board chairman of boards, like they had a big corporate meeting. They flew everyone in from around the country, and they're like, "What's going on here?" And like apparently like a picture of me and my company was up on like the presentation, and they're all pissed off. Like, and then I get an email from like this billionaire who owns it, and was just raging at me, saying he's going to sue me and stuff. And that like what I was doing was illegal, but the CEO had signed off on my purchases. So it was just like, all right, well, I don't want to ever have to be relying on one thing for my money or someone just laying down the ban hammer. Anyways, what's funny was he yelled at me all this time, and then he's like, but what you've done is somewhat impressive, and we want to talk to you. So then they were talking, and they were about to bring me on as a consultant and to manage all their Amazon stuff and potentially social media and to help them with their e-commerce. But then they went through another round of bankruptcy. So that was it for them. So then I was left like, okay, I don't want this to happen again. So I need to make my own thing.
Yeah. So so how far, and what, the Eclipse was like in May or something, I think? When was that?
It was in August 21st.
Man, was it really that recently? I don't know why I thought it was so long. So August is when this whole everything started happening with the Eclipse glasses and everything. So you probably had a few private label products or wholesale products before you got into the Eclipse glasses and whatever you're selling now, right?
Well, I had some. I wholesale was the stuff with Radio Shack, so that's what I was doing. But that was literally my only whosale account.
Okay,
so it was like everything was boom taken away.
Okay, so you went from tons of sales, tons of inventory back to zero essentially when Radio Shack stopped selling to you.
Yeah. But what I did really learn from the Radio Shack experience, everything was that I would buy up some of their product and hold it because they had discontinued it, and I knew that nobody in the world was ever going to have it again, and I waited for like 2 years, and so I did still have some stuff that was selling, but I had waited because I know just basic supply and demand. What if I'm the only person? So I ended up buying some stuff for like $15 that I sold for $150. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice. Like Radio Shack cordless phones and stuff.
No, antenna rotators for those people that still have like a TV antenna on their roof that need to change it.
Yeah. Nice. All right, cool. So after Radio Shack pulls out the rug from under you, and it sounds like that was this year?
That was last year at the end in December. So basically. Okay.
So going into 2017, you had a little bit of inventory and a little bit of experience, but you're essentially starting back at zero in January again, right?
Yeah, exactly at zero. And I tried, what did I try? I tried a private label for that Christmas season before, but it was just, I was focusing on Radio Shack, so it was just a coffee mug, you know? And it sold. I bought 300. They sold crazy in the holiday season, and I sold 200 of them then. But then I just gave up on it. Yeah. So I had a coffee mug that was a failure, and then I think I had 6 failures in a row.
6 failures to the 1 success. I think there's some stat out there somewhere that says every entrepreneur. 10 failures for every success. So.
Yeah, so I just kept failing, and I was pretty bummed about it. But then I guess then New Year came right about that time that I was just failing, and I was just pretty upset with my life. Yeah, I was my own boss, and I was doing great, but I wasn't creating. I was just arbitraging. I wasn't creating a business. I wasn't doing anything unique or scalable. So I just set a goal that, okay, 2017, I want to do $1 million in sales. And my wife was like, no, there's no way you could do that. And I didn't think I could do that either, but I was like, we got to set big goals.
And you're starting at zero again. So, I mean, the most you've ever made in a year
revenue.
And the most you probably made in a year up until then in revenue was like 300, 500 maybe. So to
Yeah,
say
yeah,
a million,
yep. About 300 to 400 a
yeah.
year.
So to say a million is way more than doubling. Basically tripling your revenue.
Yeah, so I mean, but and that was I didn't know how to make a listing. I didn't know how to do. I had made one listing change in 2 years, and that was just changing an image, and it went from one sale a day to like 8, and I was like, what? Oh, I can change listings.
Nice, that's good. So early 2017, we're starting back at zero. How did you stumble into all of this? How did you stumble into these 6 million in revenue? So you say to your wife at the beginning, "I'm going to do a million this year," and the Eclipse until August. So I guess what happened for a few months there?
Yeah, so I said I was going to do that. Was doing product research, and so reverse a little bit. I did go to the Canton Fair in October of 2016 because I was wanting to get into private label then, but I didn't know what I was doing. So I went there, and it was great, but I was trying to import electronics, and man, oh man, is it hard to find a reliable electronic provider when you're new. Don't try that.
One of the first rules of our course. Don't start with electronics.
Yeah, and it's just because of the fact that you need to have UL on basically everything in here in the United States, and a lot of suppliers don't provide UL, or if they do, it's 20 grand. And it only takes one. I know a lot of other people will go into it, but I take very calculated risks, and I want to know all of my potential liabilities. And yeah, so I mean, if you guys are selling electronics, just make sure that you've got really good, because like let's say it's UL, but they're lying to you. Because I went to some factories and they showed me the products that had UL on it, and I said, show me the certification, and they said, we can get UL. I said, well, why the hell do you have the UL logo on it, and are you selling it to me as UL? Oh, no. So in China, it's very culturally different that I don't know if it's an embarrassment to say no, but if you ask them if they can do something or they have it, they almost always say yes. So you need to just be a really big skeptic with that. But anyways, I was doing that. I went and looked at glasses. I was like, because I looked at these wooden sunglasses, and people are selling them for $80. Come on.
This is at Canton Fair. You're looking at glasses, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, these are $3, and people sell them for $80 on the internet. Why? What's up with this? It's still like, if you can brand and have enough money to launch, you can still make a killing on it, because you could somehow create this perceived value that these wooden sunglasses are worth $80. Anyway, that's my tangent on that. But yeah, so I went and looked at some of those suppliers, and I didn't find anyone I liked. But one of them randomly emailed me in January and said, "Oh, solar eclipse glass is hot. You want to buy?" And that was it. No name at the top, no company thing at the bottom. It was just a one-liner, and I said, "Oh, sure, I'm interested."
So you responded and said, "Yeah, for sure. Give me a."
I said, "Yeah, send me some info," and he didn't respond to me. But that's how I found out about it. And then
so what happened from there? Obviously, that's probably not your supplier now.
No. Chinese suppliers for glasses sucked. So I was like, okay, whatever. So I went to Jungle Scout, and it was okay. It wasn't a bad one, but I went out on a limb, and I said, okay, well, this could be big.
Yeah, and you took a risk, right? And it seems like a big part of your story, and a big part of pretty much anyone that we bring in to interview on these sessions is, the main thing I think people have trouble with is they just try to learn too much, and they just try to know everything before they take any risk. And you randomly got an email from no one, and it randomly turned into $6 million for you. So the ability for you to just take that little leap of faith and see how it works, that's that element of curiosity that is so important in entrepreneurs, because if you're not naturally curious and you don't derive some actual enjoyment from just seeing if that's going to work or not, then you're just never going to take action on it. So
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. And yeah, so like I was willing to take a risk and look into it. And it was actually the day I had scheduled another trip to China because I said, screw it, I'm going back to China. I didn't find a supplier I liked. I'm gonna go just try again.
and this is in
And
April, I'm guessing.
no, this was just at the end of January.
Okay, so you were just
Yeah.
going solo that time.
No, I was going with my wife, and her stepmom is from China, so we were gonna go stay with them for a couple days. But
Okay.
then, but then I was like, well, I can make this a business trip. So but I didn't even end up going and seeing any suppliers there. But I was just committing myself. Okay, I'm gonna go to China. But I found out the opportunity when I was in China, so I didn't need to go find suppliers. But just taking that risk, but then also being very calculated about it. So I said, okay, well, how many people are going to view the eclipse? Okay, well, at least 10 million people live directly under where it's going to happen. How could you not? This is such a rare event. How are you not going to look at it? And then I went off and I did another analysis, and I said, this is going to be the biggest thing on social media. If 10 million people have the sky going black in the middle of the day, how could they not tweet about that or post about it? And it doesn't take that much to get trending on Facebook. So then I said, all right, well, this is all going to be interesting. But then I also said, well, what's another fact about humanity? We're very social beings, and we all procrastinate. So I said, all right, well, there might not be many sales now, but I bet there's going to be because everybody's going to procrastinate. And then, that was like enough for me to be convinced to try it out. And then what I did was I said, okay, like what do we need? What do I need to make it good? And I made the decision that I always want to have the best product. Like I want to be very, very unique. And unfortunately, all the glasses they're like the same glass, okay? But what you could do is you could print on them. So I hired and did 99 design contests and everything to get the coolest design so that people would choose my product over everyone else's. One thing I need to reverse back about was it took me 2 months to find a good supplier, and that was of contacting every day.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this back up too, because Slabanon had a question about this too. So when you went to China, you didn't go to see a fair or anything. So where did you go while you were there? How did you attack it? Was it you saying, I want solar eclipse glasses, and then going and doing factory tours around different suppliers, or what was your strategy in China?
Well, my strategy in China was originally going to visit the family, but then we were going to go just see Beijing real quick, and then go down to the Guangzhou, Shenzhen area. But the plan was to go, okay, I'm going to go meet these suppliers and talk to them and everything. But I found out faster than it took, they're all full of baloney. Like, not a single Chinese supplier was certified. None. And so why go to the factory? Like, I could vet them all online. So you can do a lot of your vetting there. And like, maybe I could have got connected with, I don't know. From my understanding, there was not one single in the entire country of China manufacturer that made 100% certified safe glasses. So.
Yeah, certifications obviously, because at a certain point, well, I guess I don't want to get too far ahead in the story, but certifications are going to become vitally important. If certifications were almost more important to you than the product selection in this specific case study. So I'll let you continue on so we can. I'm sure there's some build up to the actual certification issue. But yeah. So while you were over there, you went and saw a bunch of different factories. Didn't like any of them. So was that trip to China just pretty much a waste, or?
No, because I was on their time. So it was helpful to talk to I don't know, just being in the China environment was I think beneficial. Just, I mean, you got like, it's kind of like a subconscious commitment, all right? I'm in China. I'm trying to source a product and sell it. I'm listening to Amazon podcasts all day. Like, so I wouldn't say it was a waste, but it didn't.
But you didn't
really
find a supplier in China
No.
that time. So how did you actually find the supplier for this?
Google.
Nice.
I found them on Google.
And this was a domestic manufacturer, or where were they based?
Yep, yep. I sourced all of my product from the United States for well for the glasses. We also had goggles, and we actually imported from we actually made that product custom. So it's actually like a new invention. Um, and yeah, that was imported and produced and everything here. And so we tried to get basically you needed like specific lenses, okay, to view the eclipse properly, and nobody they didn't know what that material was in China even. It doesn't exist over there from my understanding. Though like literally nobody makes it. So I would contact and ask for this material, and they'd say, "Oh yeah, we have that," and they'd send me, and I say, "Okay, send me a sample or a picture," and it was wrong. Or they would even like paint, like let's say I needed a really dark lens that was a certain like constituent material, and they would like take really bad lenses and paint over them to make it look like what I wanted. Like there's so much junk out there. I contacted over 70 bad manufacturers, and I was just so ready to give up. I almost gave up on the idea a bunch of times, but I kind of got this thing where I'd put in so much time that I couldn't give up because I'd have fear of loss, that time of my life. So normally that's not a good thing, but it worked out this time.
Yeah, and I mean everything really worked out with this product because you sourcing it within the United States ended up being obviously a huge factor in all of this. So I guess take us to that place. So you found your U.S. supplier, what, March or something like that, and you're starting to get samples. So I guess a lot of people are going to want to know what was kind of your process to vet these glasses, because obviously that was a big factor for you. So when you did find, was it the first U.S. supplier that you went to that ended up being your supplier? And what was the process with them? Was there samples,
Yeah, so I had contacted 3 U.S. suppliers, and some of them just sucked, man. They wouldn't respond, like a 4-day email response, like couldn't talk to them on the phone. So there was that. So that guy was knocked out right away. Then my next one, he was more of the I'm going to sell on Amazon. We don't want competition. So there was only one option, and he was amazing. It was perfect. I mean, he made the glasses for NASA. If NASA's buying from him, I trusted him.
Yeah, that's perfect. Now, did you use that as a sales point on your listings and everything? Like
I should have. On my Shopify, I did, but
Amazon, you played it a little bit safer.
I could have done it on images, but I should have. I probably would have sold more if I would have done that. But I wanted to, I just wanted to take the safe route and no copyright at all.
I could just see it. I could just see it now, like an image of an astronaut out in space with your glasses on, looking at the sun. Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah, right. Oh, I know I should have, but hey, I grew pretty fast with the way.
Yeah, it worked out for you anyway. So I guess let's finally go through that part of the story then, because I've been trying to build up to it until this point. So now you have it's March, April-ish. You're starting to get samples in from this NASA manufacturer for your glasses. Was there any like testing process or did you pretty much rely on this manufacturer? Did you rely on their certifications, or did you do any of your own testing and analysis?
Well, the nice thing, if you buy from someone in the U.S. and they guarantee it, you're bringing them to court. You're bringing them to court. So, I mean, you could still be held liable for negligence, but I mean, then and now it comes down to a court case, and I don't know. It felt safe enough. I had done all the research. So what I had done was I looked at all the scientific papers. I actually had to pay for literature to find the exact standards, and then I read like the step checklist to see if it met all the standards, and it did. I didn't go and get a radio, like a spectroanalysis of the wavelengths that it would let through, because that was $2,000. And I didn't have $2,000 to spend right then. But it was just you you can go through so many steps to be to a pretty certain extent that they are the. Oh wait, and I also just contacted the laboratory that did the testing. That
Okay,
helps.
so you contacted the laboratory that did the testing for the manufacturer and just said, "Hey, want to make sure this is real."
Yeah. So that's one thing you need to. That's what I've learned though. So if somebody says something is real or that it's certified, okay. So let me see the certification and let me see the company that did that. And then let me talk to that company. And then let me talk to the overarching certification company to make sure that that's not a bullshit company. And then you know you're safe. Because what if they're just like, okay, we're gonna make a fake certification from this whatever company, and that whatever company is just like a fake website or
Yeah.
just a fake cert company. So
Yeah, and I think that's pretty uncommon right now, but it's probably going to become more common, and especially like the solar eclipse glasses probably was the beginning of fake certification companies and things like that. I think it's only going to get bigger because the opportunity is only getting bigger with all of us out there selling now. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much a great rundown on how to verify certifications in 20 seconds or less, and that's basically it in a nutshell. So
yeah, and then
so
like
all right.
what else you could do is just a call. Like what are the biggest lessons I learned is you just like if you're stuck, just call people. Call and or like call where would a genius be in about that would know about this product or something, and just fake like you're a buyer or something. So let's say you wanted to learn about some type of
Chewbacca cutout.
yeah, or something. And so you call a certification body who does different types of certifications, and you just call and you say, hey, I want to get this tested. And then they'll be like, well, for what? And you say, well, I want to sell this, and I heard you guys can do certification for this. And they'll be if they're like, what are you talking about? We'll call another one. But you'll get some smart guy on the phone who'll be like, oh, well, you need to do this and this and this, and then boom, then now he's on the phone. And normally he costs a lot of money, but he's on the phone right there, and you can probably get all the questions you need out of
Yeah, yeah, I love when people do that to me. So
him.
it's a good piece of advice, though. I mean, even Steve Jobs. If you read through some of the unauthorized Steve Jobs biographies, for some reason he didn't want to put this in his own biography, but in all the unauthorized biographies, tons of stories about how he would constantly call up just random people throughout Silicon Valley and basically use his reputation to get free advice and free consulting from people that wouldn't even offer consulting. So yeah,
Oh,
great advice there. If you're able to humble yourself to that level, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you think you need to know everything before you talk to someone or before you try to build a business, then you're just never going to do it. But if you have the humbleness to say, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm going to figure it out, and I know that, then you're able to find these kind of hidden opportunities and these hidden keys that Brock's talking about. So. All right, so
yeah, definitely.
take us through the actual story, I guess. I'm going to stop jumping in with questions here for just a little bit. So take us through the solar eclipse story because it's a crazy one.
Yeah, so let's see. I'm gonna have to probably sketch this out here. Let me see. So it started in so I started to get some sales in March when my first listing at March 26th, I think it went live. Awesome. I sold about 5 on my first day with no reviews. And so it's like, oh, that must be something good. I've never done that before. Then I was in about the 5 to 10 a day for quite a bit. And then you know what I can do? I can actually just pull up my stats here so I don't have to guess.
Yeah, if you want, I can give you the screen too. I don't know if you want to put all your stats on the screen though.
Here, let me pre-vet it so that I don't give too much away, but I don't mind showing sales numbers and graphs.
Yeah.
Just it takes one troll.
There's a lot out there. Hopefully none on here, but they're out there. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
I'll make you presenter. Yeah, just let me know when you got it all set, and I'll make you presenter.
Yeah, okay. I'm in Celix right now.
Yeah, and guys, right now we're still doing kind of I'm just kind of throwing questions as I get them. Feel free to start throwing questions in the question box though. After we go through and hear Brock's story, of course, we'll be doing question and answer from the audience as well. So feel free to start dropping questions in.
Okay, so what could I do like would this format work? Let me see. I think. All right, I think I have a way to show you guys the sales without showing you my items.
You have two identical pictures of Nikola Tesla back there?
I have like 20 of them.
Are they all the same picture?
Yeah.
That's either some Andy Warhol or some Charles Manson shit.
What the plan was, I was gonna put Teslas all around the whiteboard and then make it yellow because it's like a yellow and black picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. And anyways, I think that I. Okay. Yeah. So I guess I could show my screen here.
Yeah, feel free. If I'm sure everyone would like to see it.
Yeah, I'll show it. And if I mess something up, just before we post it, we can just go and black something out.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about your audience, but if we put it on the YouTubes.
Oh yeah, there's some vultures out there. We got a good group here, but
yeah.
So everyone that's live might catch a glimpse of something they shouldn't. But yeah, if you end up showing something that we want to remove, you can just tell me.
For sure. I'll let you know. Let's see. Come on, where's the webinar software? Come on. Trying to get it so I can share my screen. Oh, there we go. Oh.
Is it working for you?
So I hit show screen.
Yeah,
okay, so it's on my screen.
Yeah, you got a real skinny screen there, huh?
Oh, is it? Wait, which screen is it? Is it
showing,
the one on the? Is it notes?
Yeah, we got notes on there right now.
Oh, come on, it's the wrong screen.
If you go up to the little on the top right of GoToWebinar, there's like a little play pause button. If you click that drop down, you should be able to select a different screen if you want to.
Oh.
And if it makes you feel any better, I don't think anyone can read the read the notes.
Oh, that's okay. There's nothing too bad there. Screen 2. This one. All right, is that it?
We'll give it a second here and see if it works. Yep, there it goes. Perfect.
Okay. Let's see. Let's get this webinar and jump out of there. Okay, so. All right, this is what we got. So I went from 0, let's see, first sale, let's see, we'll go to units. So I did 286 in that for March 18th, so about 30 a day or something. Yeah, so I mean, it just took off.
And that's with that was with no reviews, no, I guess what were you doing in March with the product?
Yeah, I got one fake review during the entire process, and that was my friend. Oh, no, I got 2, because I asked my sister to review a different one.
And are those unverified?
No, they were verified.
Okay.
But
2 verified reviews generated pretty much your launch process for this month that you're showing us was just put the product up with a half decent listing and get 2 verified reviews.
Yeah, well, and only 1 because the other one was on a different product. So yeah, so here's the thing though, I had the best design on my product, so that's what I believe sold it. So it was unique and eye-catching.
Now the thing that people are going to ask, especially people that haven't gotten started yet, was how did you create a good design? And this is a tricky thing because it's subjective, but I think what Brock is probably going to say here is he doesn't know for sure. Obviously, design is subjective, so what could be the best design might be different from person to person. but his product looked premium, it looked the best, and he put tons of time and energy and deliberately designed it the way that it was. So it wasn't that he's probably not even saying it's the best design possible, but it was the best design out there, and he knew deep down that he put enough effort into it to make it a great design, and he felt happy with it. So, because I know that we have a lot of people that haven't even started selling in here yet, and their question is going to be, but how do I create a good design?
I have a formula. I did it mathematically.
Oh, you have a formula, even better.
Yeah. No. Okay, so who's going to view the Eclipse? Okay. And who is going to be the buyer of these glasses for the Eclipse? Well, think about it. It's an educational event. Children, children, teachers, parents, grandparents. So the teachers and the parents and the grandchildren or the grandparents are the people that are going to buy on spot. And they're buying for themselves, but their children. And the children's opinion trumps what the grandparents' opinion is. So, okay, that was my basis. And so, well, what is it about? What my thought was, I'm going to get, as people think, okay, here's the thing. Words are a terrible way to explain yourself. They're not an efficient way to get your point across. What is much more is images, and what's even stronger are symbols. So when you hear a word, you correlate it to everything you've ever heard in the past. When you see an image, you correlate that to every time you've seen it in the past and every single emotion that you've seen with it. So what I did was I decided, okay, well, I want to symbolize that mine is made in the USA and that this is a purely USA. So I had a big astronaut on it and an American flag. And that was the requirement. So I made certain design requirements, and I said, these are certain symbols that need to be relevant. So I put as many symbols as could evoke motion as possible. And then I had people be creative within those, because I knew that, all right, well, as long as it has these elements, now I can choose like from these top 10 that are within these constraints. So it's like mathematically you have a much better chance to get a good design, and then now you subjectively choose the best, and then you take those best and then you A/B test those against a lot of people, and you see overall what does the consensus of society think is the best design. That's how I did it.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's exactly how to do it. And I know that was going to be a big question for people. So, all right. So I'm going to continue to try not to interrupt you while you go through this story. So we're in March. We have a good design. We have a nice listing, but probably not a great listing. I'd imagine your listing probably improves a little bit more in this process. And one review. And we got, what was it? 386 sales or something like that?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, so let me see here. I'm just quick recording a local copy in case something, so that way we get better audio if I need to dub it in if something happens. Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, so you guys can see my screen here, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Now what is going to happen? Oh, that would be kind of crazy to see. So there we go. Now then the next month, let's see. I could just extend it until April. There we go. So I'll just show you guys overall what starts to happen. So here's the trend. It's pretty linear growth right now. When I look, I can expand this a bit more. I'm just trying to see, can people see our faces too, or just my screen?
Yeah, people can see our faces too. GoToWebinar displays it in a different way than it shows up for us. So yeah, people actually can't even see any of the GoToWebinar stuff that's open on your screen. They can only see the internet window.
Oh, okay.
GoToWebinar,
cool. So,
one good feature, it hides everything. So.
All right, yeah, so this is what we had. So first 2 months I do 100,000. Now, if you look at my PPC cost, I mean, I was getting about 17% sales on PPC. It was going pretty great. So another thing I did with my designs, I actually made several, because I said, well, one design it's subjective here. So I had 3 different designs custom made for me. And I figured, okay, so I have one that's going to specifically go for kids, grandparents, and then another one is I went after women with a design because I figured, all right, everybody who's making this, we're all males. And guess what? They're all old males. I know everybody that's selling these. They're old dudes. They're not thinking of the women. So I made one for the women. It's the ladies.
One thing I love about your story, Brock, as you continue to go through it, is some of the most pivotal decisions you made. And you even say you like to look at data, you like to look at trends, but you're using intuition in this trend analysis much more than data. To come up, because a lot of people just don't have the guts, their own confidence in themselves to make a decision like that, to say, man, it seems like everyone that's selling these products are old men. They're probably not thinking of women. Women are going to purchase more of these products than anyone else. Why don't I just make a design for women? Simple things. Now, there's no data out there that's going to show Brock that was the right decision or not. It ultimately is intuition and taking a risk, and I'm sure there's 50,000 risks we're not hearing about that didn't work out, but you're hearing the pivotal ones that did here. So.
Yeah, that's huge. And so now here's the biggest thing. This is like a preview till the end. Just because we're on the topic of intuition, I went out and I came and I brought all my people that helped me package together and helped me think of the stuff. And I said, all right, this was in May, at the end of May. And I said, all right, guys. And I laid out this big chart. And I said, okay, everybody that's buying right now is buying in 10 packs, 20 packs, 50 packs. But they're all groups. I bet everybody that's buying is groups, because the only people that plan ahead in this world are science museums, schools, all these different people. And I said, okay, well, why are they all selling in these large quantities? What about a small quantity? I bet that at the end of the day, because a lot of people won't find out till the last week or two, and it's going to be huge on social media. So I said, going to be the biggest thing on social media. That was a guess. I was right. Then I said, the whole nation is going to basically view this. That was right. Then what I said was, okay, people are going to procrastinate. That was right too. And then what happens? They don't want to buy a 10. You only need 2 or 3. So nobody was serving that part of the market because there was no demand for that part of the market because nobody was planning ahead of time. So what I did then was I ended up making those listings later on for like 3 packs and stuff like that, and that killed it. That's what a lot of my success was. So but then also, so like 3 packs for women, 3 packs for like all these different ways that you bundle, and so I was just there's all these different buyers and they all have different needs. So I just said I'm going to hit every single part of the market and take up as much real estate as possible.
Yeah, great. And you segmented out the same product in a few different ways to hit different segments of the target audience and increase your conversion rate for each segment. So I
had 48 different SKUs.
Wow, all solar eclipse glasses?
Yeah, well,
wow.
I had solar eclipse glasses, I had solar eclipse goggles, and I had solar eclipse filters. So if you wanted to view it with so then I also said, well, what about like somebody who's more professional who doesn't want these really cheap glasses? Well, they probably want the highest product. So that's why I developed my custom goggles that were the best in the world, and they were the high premium. But I said, well, these glasses, people are only paying like $2 a piece right now. I bet somebody would pay $30 or more for a really good pair. Like there's rich people in the world. They're going to buy a premium product. Money's not an issue to them, and they want to be safe. So I said,
and like you said too, it's social media as well, because you have so many people posting on Instagrams running their own imaginary businesses of themselves. Those are the type of people that are going to go out and overspend on these eclipse glasses just to have different ones that look better and look cooler in their Instagram photos. So I mean, the whole world is going through premium everything. And social media is part of that, because if you have a crappy pair of solar eclipse glasses, now you look like an idiot on Instagram too.
So true. Yeah, exactly. So that was another thing. We were actually going to reach out to influencers. I just couldn't handle the demand. I said, yeah, we could kill it, but like, let's just take the easiest money right now.
Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, right. So I got that part of the market too. But then I said, what about like photographers and astronomers and stuff? They're going to want to take pictures. So I ended up in getting finding the film and making custom like the film so that you could make custom viewers for your camera or your telescope too. So,
Right, that's
so
smart.
yeah, so I sold those too.
So
Um,
at what point did you add in those other products? Was it like you saw March and April what was happening with the solar eclipse glasses, and then you said, "Man, I gotta get just more solar eclipse related things"?
let me check quick. It was well, I was trying to source it all, and I was trying to get my own products made in China, but just they were so bad. And unfortunately, I had to do a lot of this at my house. Like we did almost all the packaging in my house. I had to hire like 11 people. It was terrible. I never suggest anybody do that, but um, yeah, because yeah, let's see, when did those start to sell? So the goggles, we had ended up making those, and I think those launched in May. Yeah, but in May they just took off. Like I could tell. Well, here's one thing: I uploaded one picture of it. That was it, and I let me see how many units. Let's see. I sold. Um, it appears that I sold about 25,000 of the goggles.
Of the goggles.
Yeah, 25,000 units of the goggles
And that was in, do you say May or total?
total. So they launched in, it looks like May 10th. And then I launched them and I did 3,000 my first week in
Wow.
sales, like revenue in my first week.
And
And
that's a
then,
product that's probably a product that literally isn't on Amazon. Like
it's nowhere
I've
in the
never
world.
even heard of that product.
No, I'm the only one that made it in the world. Like it's a genuine invention of mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I
That's
mean,
really interesting. That's another big risk you took that ended up working out really well for you.
oh yeah, yeah, that was crazy. But I mean, there was one week where I did over $100,000 in revenue on the goggles in
Yeah,
one week on those.
that's
So,
nuts. All right, yeah. So I guess take us through the rest of the story because I once again took you off track. So March, April. I guess can you just take us through if you don't mind? I'm sure everyone would love to see just how the chart progresses over time. If you want to
yes,
take us through your story, because I know there's a few people starting to ask questions and stuff too. One person asked, I know we still have to talk about the certification issue and how you ended up being one of the very few people that were actually able to sell this product. So you pretty much had monopoly on this market. Yeah. So can
yeah,
you? I
yeah.
guess,
So that was pretty nice.
yeah. I'll let you finish up here.
Okay, so anyways, things are going great, and then the Chinese come, and then it sucked because the Chinese, oh man, that was so rough. They and for some reason because I had the best looking design, they decided to copy me. In my product, they made I saw over 10 different people selling it on Alibaba. Now, not just selling it on Amazon, Alibaba. So I had over 70 counterfeiters making not only hijacking my listing, but 70 plus other listings as well that were my exact product, saying they were made by my manufacturer, made in the USA, with my company on it and everything. And that's when stuff started to get crazy. This is in May, because this is now when, if you look, like, let's see, I'll show you guys sales charts. You can see when it starts to take off is when the Chinese Come on. Go to June, end of June. Oh. So at the end of June now, look at that. So we just did 500. We were at 248, and then we did 500,000 that month. Okay, so you know, like sales were pretty crazy.
$631,000 in organic sales. That's beautiful.
Just wait till you see what it's at the end. But yeah, you see, it went from linear to now took off. Okay, that's where now the counterfeiters and everybody started coming in. It was one of the most competitive, nasty markets I've ever seen, like worse than supplements. There was hundreds and like literally, I would every time I would refresh, like let's say I took a half hour off and refresh, there'd be a new fake person up there. And they started to hijack me, and I had to learn how to defend myself and actually get competitors taken off of my listing without a trademark or anything. And that's, unfortunately, I cannot share that publicly, but it is possible.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
So did you see any type of big dip in July once you ran into all these issues, or did you continue to grow through it?
Let's see. So now, no. That's July. Now 1 million in July.
Wow. Yeah, so I mean, the counterfeiters did everything they could, and they still didn't really affect you.
Do you see that? Do you see the hump, though?
Yeah. So is that when you had to figure out basically how to start kicking people off your listings and things like that?
Yeah, and it got really rough. They would bring here's the thing, they were all selling bad glasses too, glasses that weren't safe, like with my company name on them, not real, on my listing. So I had, and here's the thing, I got hijacked so bad that on Prime Day was one of my worst days, because I had a guy who literally bought every single unit that I owned of every listing. Obviously fake, fraud. So what they were doing was trying to just lock up all my inventory for weeks and get it stuck in the system, and then they listed on every one of my listings too. And luckily I was paying attention like a hawk, but I was able to call Amazon and say, cancel all of those orders, because they were like, so really make sure to put inventory purchase limits on your account, because counterfeiters can come on and like it's the perfect bait and switch, like Cyber Monday, buy all your stuff, do a fake listing, boom, like easy money.
Oh yeah, there's gonna be a ton of that this year. So
yeah, so that was crazy.
What did you not have inventory limits placed on before this?
No, I didn't. But
so someone just came in and like one order bought everything.
Yeah, they bought, like, at first I was like, oh man, look at this sale, Prime Day. How have I already done 150,000 and it's 8 a.m. And then all of a sudden, and I look and I'm like, wait, how have I sold $1 million? This isn't right. Like, yeah, so.
$1 million day is still a little crazy.
Yeah, right. I knew it was too good to be true.
So that brings us to one thing that I definitely want to bring up here is that Amazon eventually got involved with this market, and in a way that they typically don't, in a much deeper extent than they usually do, it seems. So at a certain point, Amazon stepped in and said, these glasses, a lot of these glasses that are being sold are unsafe. Amazon does not want to have some class action lawsuit because tons of people bought these glasses on Amazon.com. So at a certain point, Amazon saw enough risk in this market to pretty much shut it down, correct? And then it was pretty much you and I think one other guy that was left to actually sell these things.
So here's the thing. I had been telling them for the longest time that these aren't safe. Like, you guys need to do something here. This is a big problem. I told them, and I would call in, and I would get to the highest team, and I would say, hey, like, my wording was literally, you're going to make people blind. You have to do something. And over, and here's the thing. No, they don't care. It's a giant, like, people think of Amazon as this great innovative company. No, it is a giant company. It's a giant corporate snail. Like, they have tech, innovative product and stuff, but they're still a corporation. And when you get to a certain size, you just stagnate. And that's why we have no defense pretty much as sellers or anything. It took NASA to stop them. And they didn't even listen to NASA for a while. I was screaming for 6 months. I called all the certification bodies, let all these scientific people know. And I actually think that I'm part of what started it, because I let them know. And I sent them pictures, and I said, hey, this says it was certified by you, and I know it's not. And then, like, so I caught some of the top people, and I was so frustrated, but my work paid off. And, like,
yeah, clearly it paid off, as I'm sure we'll see as you continue on with this chart here. But yeah, clearly it worked out for you.
Yeah. So that was.
So when Amazon actually did that, how did they approach that? Because I haven't seen, I've never been involved with a market that Amazon comes in and controls like that. So what happened exactly with that?
What happened was Amazon just sends out an email and says, you need to have this certification, or you cannot sell on the Amazon website starting on this date. And it was 6 days from then. But the certification, so they never said that previously, and you could technically still have a safe product without the certification. But I had always made sure, I just wanted just in case for a lawsuit. But good, thank God I did it, because it allowed me to work. But so they did that, and then now you have to get pre-approval, and you have to have this certification, and you have to go through certain bodies to even get the ability to sell. But what they did was they took every single seller and they slowly just booted them off. And then what they do is they refunded everybody for all those purchases.
Oh my God. So then they all just went on and bought your solar eclipse glasses with their money.
Millions of people all got their money back, and an email saying that your stuff is not safe. We are sorry.
Oh my God. And then they go on and they look at your listing. Absolutely certified, 100% guaranteed. That's incredible.
Yeah. And then I guess what we can do is start to get more fun. So when did Amazon send it out? I believe that so this is when Amazon hit the ban hammer, August 1st.
Okay, so that's literally a day after the chart we're looking at right now.
So this $108,000 that day.
In one day. That's the day when
organic sales 99%.
Holy cow! Yeah, because it's all these. So that's when the refunds went out that day.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Basis, but holy cow! I mean, you really lucked out with that market. So
yeah.
Amazon shuts down all of your other competitors' listings. Not only shuts them down right before the actual sales bonanza is about to happen, then refunds everyone who bought those products. All that cash is sitting there, and they have an email. They get an email that says your glasses are absolutely unsafe. Even if they are safe, they're getting an email from Amazon saying, don't use those glasses, and here's your money back. They're immediately going on days before the eclipse, so I'm sure your pricing is probably going up at this point too, and buying your glasses because you're one of the only sellers left at that point.
Yeah, that's essentially the story of what happened. But here's what I had done also was, but there's also a thing where Amazon sales tanked. The overall amount of money spent on Eclipse glasses on Amazon went down because nobody trusted Amazon. Right. So I had to fight that, and my account has suffered severely because of it, unfortunately. Because, like, my goggles were there was a couple certifications you could get, and the goggles are completely good, but Amazon shut it down. And I said, well, wait, you read the scientific literature. I meet all the requirements and everything. But they said, oh, nope, you got to do this. So, they're uneducated in it. I warned them for months, and then they lay down but whatever. I sold out on my Shopify site.
The only reason they care is class action lawsuit. So once the Amazon legal team said, okay, we might actually have a class action lawsuit if 20,000 people look up at the sun and go blind, that's when they actually take action on something.
Yeah, so that's what happened, and unfortunately, they didn't. They threw me under the bus. So, like, yeah, they helped me out, but oh man, if you look at my account of ratings, all these people got an email for part of my products that were good, and they even shut down like 25% of my certified glasses, and just nope, that's sorry, we're shutting those down. Like, and I had to fight and fight to get them back up, and some of them they didn't even put back up. So, but all those people left negative reviews, and I had a 99% positive review, and I went all the way down to like 70s, and so it tanked my account. But I'm just opened a new one now. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was pretty crazy. But yeah, so then that happens. We can look at what happens to then the numbers. Oh man, so to the first to the fifth, so that first week. But here's the thing that freaked me out. Okay, so my sales actually went they peaked that day and then they went down. Now go to sales. Come on, apply.
Is that your actual profit margin in there? Because I'd imagine that this product is probably extremely high margin, just knowing what it is. But is that
it's pretty close. It's pretty close.
Huge margin.
It's not right though, because yeah, it is a huge margin, but my Amazon, it's not 100. Like, I haven't updated everything in Selix, and when you do fulfilled by merchant, it really messes up your profit margin and looking at everything. So,
and you were basically forced
to
do fulfilled by merchant, correct?
Yeah, well, because they closed my listings down, and so then it was like, well, what am I going to do? And I said, oh, screw it, send it to me. I'll ship it out myself. And then luckily, but then I had to make new listings and then send those into Amazon. And then what happened was Amazon then was like, well, we need those certifications. And I said, well, I gave it to them, but then they took forever. So what I essentially had to do was I had listings in Amazon, and then I had ones that were shut down. So I had to send those back to me. And then I had current glasses that I sent into Amazon. And I took those, and then those listings got shut down. So I had to do like manual fulfillment orders from these to those, and like kind of change the pictures on these so that it said random designs so that I could sell on that list. You're not supposed to do that. That's against the terms of service. Don't ever do that. But you can change your listing to whatever, because it just needed to be in there. Anyways, yeah, so it was crazy. I'll show you then what happens going into the end here. I think the 1st to the 17th. 1st to the 17th. Like, it just took off then. Yeah. So
all of a sudden that big August 1st didn't look too big anymore.
Right? Yeah, that's to the bottom. I mean, I'll go out and I'll do from the, like, here's the graph of my story as a whole.
And then August 17th was the eclipse, I'm guessing?
Yeah, that's a graph of my sales.
You're probably in a handful of people in the world that will never forget the date 8/17/2017.
Right? It's just crazy. Well, it was on the 21st, so that was the day of the eclipse.
I could have gotten married on that day, and it would have meant less than that it means to you.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just crazy. But I also had Shopify sales and Etsy. I actually did really good on Etsy.
And Shopify and Etsy isn't even in here, correct?
Yeah, so that's how I get the 6 million.
Okay, so it's probably well over 6 million.
No, but just about right at.
Really? So Amazon was pretty much. So you really played this correct. Like there was no way you could have played this differently for it to work out better. So you were essentially the beneficiary, the cause of Amazon shutting down and refunding so many of your competitors inadvertently, and you were one of the only sellers of this product when it was all said and done for the actual Eclipse. So, I mean, the majority of people in this call right now that tried to buy Eclipse glasses on Amazon probably have your products in their house right now. So,
they might, yeah.
I guess that brings us to the natural question of, I guess what have you learned? We've talked a lot about that, of course, but is there anything you would have done differently in this process, or do you think that everything just kind of worked out how it should have?
Um, Anything I would have done differently? Let's see. I would have kept my price lower in the beginning to really get, because there was another guy and he kept his price at break even for the first 2 months, and he got a head start on me in reviews, and his design wasn't as good as me, but he got a head start on me in reviews and ranking because of that. And as it just took off, it was impossible to catch up.
Yeah.
So, like, you've really got to find, I mean, you can be and have the best product and everything, and even if I hadn't, like, Amazon wouldn't have laid down the ban hammer, like, still look at my profits and everything until I'll do it beforehand. So I know some people will be like, oh, you got lucky, but I played it pretty well. And so even before then, I mean, I still went from 0 to 2 million in so I would have hit 3 million, I think, like 3.5 probably, legitimately, without Amazon shutting everything down.
Yeah, and what Brock's saying right here is this is basically his chart when it was a purely open and competitive market.
Competitive as heck.
Chinese sellers coming in selling counterfeits of his products. So this is what the chart you're looking at right now is in the most competitive area of Amazon, the worst case scenario.
With no luck.
The black hat, yeah, just terrible things happening here, and no competitive advantage really. So he made $2 million in sales on that, and then once Amazon came in and actually started enforcing the certifications, Brock's literally quadrupled his sales, almost tripled his sales.
Yeah, tripled pretty much
in the next month alone. In the next 17 days, I should say. So this is going up to July 31st. This is a purely competitive black hat as hell market, and from August 1st to the 17th, he made an additional $4 million once Amazon actually started enforcing that. So it's incredible to see too, because like you said, I think a lot of people like to make excuses for themselves not to try things, and a lot of people are probably gonna say, "Man, I'm never gonna find an Eclipse glasses, so I should just give up now." But if you look at this chart, like Brock only had 17 days of luck in this, right? The first 5 months of it were pure blood, sweat, and tears, to the point where he almost quit multiple different times, went through 70 different manufacturers, went through the entire process of learning how to certify products, did that all, and it all just paid off in a huge way in that last 17 days, as things typically do.
Yeah, so we're doing all the hard work, and you can, so I guess what lessons I've learned is just like you can compete in a competitive market if you have the best products. Think about it, you just have to get, it just becomes a problem of getting it in front of their eyes. But if you're the best choice, then now you don't have now you just have to game it to get in front of their eyes. And guess what? There's a really easy way to get on the first page, a pay-per-click. You get there, and if you really have the best product, and as long as you have enough reviews so that it's like, okay, well, it doesn't have as many reviews and the price is higher, but it's the best looking thing, I'm going to buy it. So you can compete. I know a lot of people say don't go into a really competitive market. Don't do that your first time. But, I mean, now I'm not afraid to go. There's not a single market I wouldn't be afraid to go into.
Yeah, and you know how to do the marketing. It's all the marketing. Like you said, if you have a great listing and a great product and a great angle and positioning of that product, people are going to react to it, and PPC is just going to put fuel on that fire. If you don't have a good product, if you aren't super confident in your product and haven't taken the time and dedication to really make sure you have a good product, and it's a terrible listing, or if it's a great product and a terrible listing and the listing just doesn't communicate the value proposition of the product properly, then no amount of PPC is going to help. PPC only hurts because, again, it's just fuel on the fire. So if you have this, a negative negative ROI, the last thing you want to do is throw more money on it. You gotta fix the listing.
Well, if you look at the most important thing, I think, is you look at your conversion. Don't look at your ACoS. Like if you're going into something competitive and you convert at a high enough rate, like you're converting at 35 to 40%, okay, go for it. I'd spend 400% ACoS just to get to the top of that term. Yeah. Like that, I convert at that, and that's with less reviews and stuff. And so what if I just get up there organically then, But I mean, you could go and use services to get up there too. I mean, that's the other approach. But
now, Brock, have you used any launch services or anything like that?
No, never used one.
Isn't this incredible?
And only 2 fake reviews, and
so,
I mean,
guys,
who hasn't asked a friend for a review?
Yeah, this is because you're maybe the 3rd or 4th person we've brought in the past few months to interview that has just an incredible story like this, although your numbers are a little bit higher. Every single person I've brought in so far, I asked this question to, and none of them have ever used a launch service. A lot of them don't even use PPC. Most of them just depend on having a great product, a well-designed product that's positioned properly in a high-converting sales listing. If you have that, Amazon wants to sell your stuff. You don't have to fight Amazon to sell your product. If you have a high-converting product, that's what they want to push. So they're just going to throw traffic at you.
Yeah, so like that's what's pisses me off a lot. Like you see a lot of these gurus out there who will teach you like these tricks and stuff. Those work, but those are kind of like I don't know. It's like they're just masking the symptom of you have a shitty product.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I mean, they can be great. Like they could be a great way to kickstart if you're really the best. But if you're really the best, you don't need them. So
it's not like Apple's board of directors gets together this time of year and is like, all right, what's our lightning deal strategy this year?
Yeah, right. So yeah, I think you don't need any of that stuff. Maybe like don't use that stuff, or if you do, like, use it strategically.
Yeah, and don't depend on it, right? I think that's a real key. Too many people that are just starting out think that that's the magic, that if they just had this one little trick, then everything would just work out and it's going to be super easy. At the end of the day, you have to, and I've said this probably 4 times during this interview so far, Brock had confidence in a lot of his decisions that weren't backed by data or anything, because he put so much effort into it. And you got to put effort into your products. You have to really care about your products, care about making them the best they can be for that target customer. If you're doing that, that's all customers want companies to do. If you're a company selling physical products, that's literally all the customers want you to do, is design great products for them. So if you do that, they will reward you.
And here's something to think about. So if you think that you're not successful because you didn't use a viral launch or something, I urge you to think about this. What is a product? It's just it's like a digital asset, okay? And Amazon's just a giant algorithm. Think of let's look at YouTube or something. So how did Chewbacca girl go from nothing to the whole nation knew about her in less than a week? Because she had a really good product that was funny, that people shared and wanted to spend their time on, and algorithms liked it and bumped it up there. So, or like anything that's viral in any sense. So there was like something unique about it. Like I guess, so that it goes off of basic stats and how people interact with your listing is what it comes down to at the end of the day. So if you're not being successful, like, just you can test by doing the PPC and see what your conversion rate is, and then look at your conversion rate, and then that's your truth, not your total numbers of sales each day.
Yeah, that's a great quote right there. Your conversion rate certainly matters more than your revenue on any given day.
Oh yeah, and that's how I knew, because I knew, like, that the goggles, I did nothing. I didn't do any keyword research. I did nothing. I just wrote up I had a bad description for a while, and they took off, and it was like, boom, boom, 20 sales a day within 4 days, just because it was the best.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a great piece of advice. Honestly, like you said, it's such a simple piece of advice. I talk about it all the time. There's no shortcut to just having a great product and a great listing. But it sounds simple, but that's really what it's all about. And it's so easy to take your eye off of that, especially if you're in a place where you're trying to learn everything in the world. You're going to be distracted because a lot of these, like you said, there's a lot of gurus out there. And I try to stay away from this type of content, but I'm probably guilty in some respect. But gurus are they need you to click things. They need to catch your eye with some sexy little tactic or something and get you on their website. So in the same way that the news glamorizes and it makes everything way more dramatic than it actually is, gurus need to do that too. This one thing's if you don't do this one thing, your Amazon account's gonna get shut down in 2018. All this stuff. But
if you can, Hawk's video right there.
Right. It gets more and more common, I think. But if you can, like Brock, really get out of the industry a little bit and take that higher view, that 30,000-foot view of things, you'll see that we're not just Amazon sellers, right? We're business owners. And you see a lot of Brock's decision-making process for his e-commerce business comes from outside of e-commerce. And I think that's a really smart thing, being able to intuitively kind of mix these things together and come up with a solid decision.
Yeah, and there's also another thing that I did before this. I took a whole bunch of series of courses on algorithms and learned how to build algorithms and search engines specifically. And I studied a whole lot of psychology. And that's literally all that Amazon is. Amazon is psychology and search engines. That's it.
Yeah.
So, think about this psychologically. Why would you buy your product over the other people? If you can't answer that, or how is yours different? How does it stick out? If you can't answer that, don't do that product. I
think there's a lot of people that get scared to ask themselves those questions because it takes effort and just hard thinking to get through those things and actually develop that. But there always is something. There always is something. Even if you go into super competitive markets, the main product I sell is hair color, right? There's tons. It doesn't change much. But any market you go into, there's so much variance. Even if you go into supplements, supplements, yeah, they're super competitive, but every month there's a new angle, a new position, a new brand you can take that's going to beat everyone else. For instance, when CrossFit started getting big, supplements were already beaten to hell. A lot of fitness gear was beaten to hell, but all of a sudden all you needed to do was make that exact same product for someone that's doing CrossFit, for someone that uses the product in a different way for different benefits, and now they're going to spend more money for that one because they feel like your brand connects with them and gets them and gives them the value and cares about them more. It's just, again, it's the simplest advice out there to make a great product, but it's very easy to overlook.
Yeah. So that's what it is. Or we're in complete agreement there that the uniqueness. Okay. Well. Oh, it's for CrossFitters. Oh, okay. So that's why. So maybe you make the lifestyle photos different and everything. Okay, yeah. So now you could answer that question. Why would somebody buy it? Because it screens to CrossFitters. So you don't necessarily have to be new, but you got to do something new.
Yeah.
Something new and worthwhile.
Because we're not saying that you need to be the next Apple and everything needs to be super innovative and cutting edge, but it at least needs to be for something. Like Brock said, he made a completely different product line because he thought about professionals. He said, man, if I was a professional, I really wouldn't want these little paper glasses. I'd want something a little bit more professional and high-end looking. So he made that product for that market. That's the right way to do product development. Most people aren't doing it that way. They're not thinking about the target customer or why they're building this feature set out. So it's certainly the right way to think about it.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different niches. I know one of my friends. He's telling me that a lot of if you just look geographically, like look at all of this, statistically, if you look at African Americans, what percentage of society there are, and you look at a lot of private label listings, there's nobody like really targets and does their lifestyle photos with African Americans or like their product like targeted towards them. So there's niches like that, or like there's just different parts of society that we, as the typical private labeler, is what I've seen statistically mostly a male. From like at least the meetups I've been to and the groups I'm in. So we got to think outside of our, like I went towards women. Think outside of your head of what you would like in your life, and think about all the people in the world.
Especially effective when you consider that I think 70% of all money is spent by women. So.
Oh.
Very important.
And that's how Target's alive. So.
All right. So I have a bunch of that is how Target is still around.
Women love Target.
They do. I don't. My girlfriend just tried to get me to go there last night, so I avoided it this time. But so I got a good 10, 15 questions for you from the audience, and as we start to ask these as well, I'd imagine we're going to get some more. So yeah, guys, we will switch over to the audience Q&A segment right now. Not that it's planned or anything, but so I'm going to go through and start asking questions, Brock. Yeah, let's just get started with it, I guess.
Cool.
Diana here said, "Hi, Brock. Why did Amazon kick out all the other sellers? Was it because of certification?" So I think we answered that already. But if you feel like there's something we missed there, feel free to add in.
Oh, something that we did miss was everybody got a giant chargeback to their account.
Who did?
So let's say you sold $1 million. Let's say you sold $1 million of glasses and you didn't have certification. You got a bill for $1 million.
Jesus. Wait, so
plus half those people also returned it, so you actually get a bill for about $1.5 million.
Oh my God! So you inadvertently put a whole bunch of people out of business. there are probably a few people.
You know what pisses me? I was in Manny Coates' group, and I got banned from the group for this. Manny, I'm coming on your podcast, and you put me back in the group. All right, I got banned for this because I started posting my numbers and stuff, and people were like, "Oh no, you're full of bullshit. You're selling a course." All this stuff, and I'm like, no, like this is my story. I posted in June and July that, hey, yeah, they banned me from the group because they thought I was trying to like sell a course because I said, hey, I know how to get rid of counterfeiters off your listing, like, but I can't just post this publicly. Like, send me an email or send me a message, and they banned me for that. And then, but I was posting and I said like, hey, I'm selling like this amount of sales per day. But nobody else is certified, and I'm the only one that's certified. Like, what do I do about this situation? And they're all like, oh, or I was like, how do I take down my competition who's like lying about their certifications? And they said, oh, you're a dirty supplement seller, blah, blah, blah. And I had terrible trolls on me the whole time. And whenever I would post in groups, people would just hate on me. And I predicted it. I said, like, it's going to be the biggest news story in the nation for a day or two. And it's going to ruin Amazon's reputation to a certain extent.
Yeah, well, it could have much more, I think. If they didn't do what they did and a bunch of people did end up going blind, it would have been much worse.
Oh, yeah, there would be. I mean, there was already a lot of major news articles that were released, but it wasn't, it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, I think so,
Crazy
too.
Stuff.
Well, yeah, you'll get a lot of that, I feel, in free groups. So we'll make sure to extend you an honorary membership to our high-end paid private group. A great group. You would have been celebrated there. So yeah. I think that gets Diana's question then. Aaron's got another one here. He said, how do you handle pricing differences between Amazon and company websites if you're branded? You don't want bad PR for having lower prices on Amazon than higher on the website. Is that something you worried about too much?
Who's checking both?
Yeah, that's my gut reaction too. So
that's just my question. Who's checking? Well, yeah. I don't know who's checking. Like,
Did you have
Maybe
one
some.
person? Did you have even one person reach out to you and say, "Hey, this is priced lower on your own website" or something?
I would have people who would, because I had to lower my price to while I was getting rid of the hijackers. I had to lower the price to get the buy box back, and I had so many people who would message me and say, "Hey, I bought this from you 3 days ago, and it's $2.80 cheaper now. I want my money back." I'm like, dude, I'm trying to protect people. This is what's going on, and I would tell them that, and they'd be like, "But do I still get the 280 back?" And fine, fine,
Mhm.
whatever. But yeah, look,
Did you notice any of those when you were getting those? Did you notice they were canned or anything? Because I'm going to take my screen back for a second. I'll show you
oh
what I'm
yeah,
talking
so, yeah,
about.
go for it.
You have services, which I love services like this, but you got services like Paribus. Paribus basically monitors your email inbox, and if the price goes down on something, so for instance, I have this hooked up to my Amazon purchasing email. If I purchase something on Amazon and then the price goes down lower, they just magically get the money back. I don't have to deal with it or anything.
Right.
Yeah, so I think what they do is they basically look for people doing what you did, lowering the price after a couple days, and then having automated emails go out to the seller and basically requesting the refund. And then when
And
they
what,
get the
did they take a
refund, this
percent
company
or something?
takes a percentage of it.
Weird.
So
That's
you might have had hundreds of these emails.
bastards. Maybe they
So
got me.
so that was one issue you ran into. And it sounds like a time-consuming one, but not anything. Obviously, not looking at your sales graphs and everything. It doesn't look like it was major enough to do much.
Yeah, no, nothing major. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was nice. I got up to about $3,000 a day in Shopify sales, which was pretty nice. But nothing compared to Amazon, and it was. You got to think about your long-term branding. I guess you could, like, what is it? In my unique situation, there was so much more money to be made than I couldn't keep it up to date, and it was just a business decision at the end of the day. You know,
Yeah.
it depends on your situation. Like, are you in a recurring market? Because if you're on like if you have a box company or something where you're getting subscriptions, that lifetime value of a customer on your platform is worth a lot more. But if you're like a one and done type of company, we got a different story, So like each customer is not worth nearly as much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too afraid though, Aaron, of playing with your pricing and having different pricing on your website versus Amazon. No downside to that. And yeah, so I don't think you have to worry about that much. Maybe 1% of your customers will end up finding out, and then a certain percentage of them will actually care. So. But again, listening to Brock this entire time, it's focusing on growth and not focusing on problems, right? He's just focusing on growth and getting more sales, and not really about what changing the pricing might do to him in the future, but basically saying, I know that this is going to get me a ton of sales today, so I'm going to do it today.
Sorry, I had to vlog that second.
No worries. All right, so Michael, I think we pretty much answered Michael's question here. He said, with no budget, what's the best way to launch a new brand in a niche market? And I think we pretty much went through that with everything we talked about with creating a great product. I think the lower your budget is, the better your listing has to be, because if you have a huge budget, you can start to outsource different pieces of it, and you can make mistakes. And it's fine. You can adjust as you go. If you have no budget at all, you got to get it right the first or second try, right? So create an incredible product that you have a lot of confidence that someone's going to really like this thing. It's really going to make someone's heart sing. They're going to look at it and they're going to go out of their way to check it out. And then create a great listing. Like Brock said, throw a little bit of PPC behind it to see what the conversion rate is on it and kind of move from there. But I think that's a pretty good launch strategy. And again, I mean, Brock, you probably see this too. The number one thing people ask about right now is launch strategies. And again, the most successful sellers I talk to aren't using launch strategies. They are creating great products and great listings and getting them in front of the target customer's eyes. They're not worried about launch strategies, right? When you say launch strategies, it almost feels like the guru type of thing, right? The launch strategy is to have an amazing goddamn product and get it in front of the right eyes.
Yeah, I have to say that I mean, my good friend who sells on Amazon, he real close to 8 figures. Him and I talk a lot, but we never talk about launch strategies. Like, I asked him about it a while ago, and he said, no, don't touch it. You don't need it. If you have a good product, you don't need it.
Yeah.
So, like,
completely agree. Yeah. And I'm hearing that more and more as time goes. I think a lot of people think that it's getting so competitive right now that you have to have these crazy launch strategies. The best sellers the biggest sellers I talk to don't have any launch strategies. They might have a procedure to get products up and marketed, but they definitely don't. They're not using a lot of these tools and these things that you have to, these third-party things you have to buy.
Yeah, think about this. There are people that make the algorithm, okay? So they obviously construct the algorithm in a way that they obviously think about new products. You know, like, they don't just think about, all right, how are we going to put the best products that already exist up there? A big part of it is how are we going to evaluate a new one? Well, they're going to test you a lot of different things. One, how long do people spend on your listing? How many images do they click through? Do they add it to the cart? Do they return to the page? Like, where is the mouse hovering over when they're doing it? You know, there's so many factors. Obviously, sales, yeah, you can cheat by over cheating one aspect you can get on the first page. But you can also get on the first page by just having the best listing and all those other metrics, which are free to do and easy, then it's good. But one of the big things is click-through rate. You know, if that's one of the most important. When people are shown your product, do they click it? So you've got to have a good first image, but then, you know, how they interact with it from there is a really big part.
Yeah, especially in less competitive markets. You know, the less competitive a market is and the newer a market is, the less data they have, and they have to start depending on micro conversions, which are time on site, did they add it to the cart, abandoned carts. These are all, you know, micro conversions. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, but nobody makes money telling you how to optimize those parts. So you don't hear about it.
Yeah, exactly. And as everyone here hopefully knows, I try to do my best to stay away from like the tricks and hacks and everything. But yeah, I mean, just this program and StartupBros, it's all about building real businesses. And what Brock is talking about right now is how you build a real business. You can get on the first page for a couple days, and you can play the black hat game and beat the hell out of each other. And what ends up happening at the end of the black hat game and the algorithm manipulation game is a whole bunch of people just stressed out of their minds, passed out on the ground with no money between them and a bunch of dead inventory usually. Whereas if you just do it the right way, you get the product up, you update the sales listing when the conversion rate goes down to a certain point, and you just let the thing run, and then you go build your business. You go work on other products in your product line. You go work on other factors of your business. But if you're doing this black hat game all the time, you're literally just always going to be trying to keep up with it's a battle, right? The creators of these algorithms and the people trying to manipulate them. So you can rise above that ongoing battle by just having a great product and a great business.
So
which is
true.
Ironically much easier.
Yeah, and well, like, here's the thing. You will make or break your business before you have paid a dime. That's it. Because all the hard work is talking with the supplier, finding the right supplier, getting the right everything. And if you mess up that part, you can liquidate. I mean, if you do your product research, that's a great thing. Try. Because if you research and you've done it and there's demand, guess what? You could just cut it to break. Like, if somehow you try everything and nothing works, you could just break it even. But you have to implement all of these tricks to get it working if it's not a good product. Or if you just write in that beginning part, like you did your due diligence and you just go off your intuition, maybe you're taking a risk, but at least you're taking a risk where it's got a huge upside and not this huge work to make. So
yeah, and it's something you actually care about, right? Use your intuition, because it sucks to work on things that you don't believe in. I think at the core, that's why a lot of people start these businesses and try to get away from their job, is because they don't want to work on things they don't believe in. And don't go into this business and pick some product that you don't care about at all, because it's just going to be a bitch every time you want to wake up and work on it. Then, if you have a product that you really like,
a lot of them.
Yeah, right.
I've met a lot of people like that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you have a product that you really like and enjoy working on, you're literally going to jump out of bed in the morning before your alarm goes off and get to work. So yeah, it's an important aspect of product selection for sure. Back it up with the data. You want to check the numbers and everything, but ultimately we do need to pick things that excite us. And if we're not excited, then it's going to be tough to get to work.
Yeah, and we'll think about it. If you choose something you're passionate about and that you're interested in, that's your competitive advantage. You know more than the guy who's just looking at numbers on Jungle Scout. And, well, all right, let's throw it up. All right, I'm going to hire someone on Upwork to make a listing, hire a random product photographer. They don't know about that or care about that customer, where you could. Basically, you need a competitive, unique advantage in everything you go into. It's either a brand new product or a new marketing something, the words. And so if you choose something that you're excited about, you're going to put in the 20 hours needed to optimize your listing, and it's not going to suck.
Yeah, for sure. Jason is about to take off, and he wanted me to get this question. This one's a little off topic, so we'll get back to on-topic questions right after this. He said, I'm using an LLC for investing and my fitness coaching. Should I form a second LLC to pay that LLC, then to pay myself? I'm going to be depositing a check from selling my house tomorrow into this new LLC bank account. So, Jason, I for sure don't know enough about accounting and
I know a lot. I can't give official advice. But
I can give basic advice on this, but I have no idea in terms of the first LLC paying the second LLC to then pay yourself. I'm not sure the tax implications of that. I'm not sure the tax implications of selling a house, and because the house isn't owned by the LLC. If you then, I don't see why you wouldn't just hold the cash in your personal name though, because it's post-tax already. I think if you put it back into an LLC, it just gets funky there. But what I would recommend, and hopefully you can see my screen right now, is I would post this exact question in Reddit accounting, and you'll probably get some free advice from an actual CPA. The best thing you can do is talk to an actual CPA before this transaction goes through. It looks like you're depositing the check tomorrow, so in that case, you might just want to jump on Reddit and find someone to give you some advice here. But I would have a separate LLC for the investment and the fitness coaching business. I would have a separate, ideally you have a separate LLC for all three ventures, the fitness coaching, the investing, and the e-commerce business. I would absolutely, though, separate the e-commerce business into its own LLC. And what to do from there, it kind of depends on your state. It absolutely depends on what type of LLC it is. So if it's an S-Corp, if it's an S-Corp, none of this is going to be a lot of headache for not a lot of gain if it's an S-Corp. But if it's a C-Corp, then you're really going to want to look into these things, because then you can get double taxed. So, Jason, I'm not sure if that's the answer you're looking for, but yeah, that would be my advice. If it was me, honestly, Jason, this is what I would do, is I would jump over to Reddit accounting and post it in here, just because you need it tomorrow. And if you do have an accountant that you can email or something, that's also an option, obviously. So, all right, back to e-commerce questions. Yeah, and Brock, I know you said you had no time limit, but I will we'll make sure this doesn't go beyond like 10 p.m. or anything, or I guess it's like 9 p.m. for you.
Well, we got time, yeah. Cool.
All right,
go
cool.
for it.
Because we got a good amount of questions still. So guys, any questions? Go ahead and pop them in the box. We're getting through them now. Nochum, and hopefully I'm saying your name right, my friend. Nochim said, if you're buying and selling wholesale retail on Amazon and you think it's going well, is Brock's way the only way that that's secure to stay with the Amazon bandwagon? So Nochim's saying, should I only do? See, a lot of people in here are now thinking, man, I should never buy anything from China. I should only sell wholesale products on Amazon with certifications. So, I mean, I would assume that you think you can have success with other products out there. Can you talk a little bit?
I found at least 10 that I could make $1 million with at the Canton Fair this year. I have too many opportunities now. So there, no, but you gotta just do your research. Like that's like, so just choose things that are not dangerous. I mean, like, let's look at it. When I was looking at going into lighting, I'm looking at something that could burn down someone's house or a whole apartment, and or something that people are going to stare at the sun with. Like, I went into some pretty hard markets. But guess what? The best money in the world is to be made is where there is danger and uncertainty, in my opinion. But that's where the most work is. Yeah, think about it. Simple, risk and reward. Supply and demand.
And danger is obviously risk, and uncertainty. I love that you said uncertainty, because in finance and big business, uncertainty is risk, and people don't really realize that in the startup world. So I love that you said that.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Like just go for. So now you're gonna have to go into something that's less dangerous, but put your own spin onto it. Like, that's how I would suggest getting. Don't get started like I did. I'm a very, very, very risk-taking person. So I mean, you got to know who you are at your core. Are you a risk-taker, entrepreneur, like breaking the rules your whole life? Then you may go down that path. But if you need certainty and whatnot, you could still be successful. You just need to take a different path that suits you best.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people in here are probably thinking too, like, man, when's the next Eclipse? And it's certainly not to say that Brock's way is the only right way, or my way is the only right way, or that you should immediately start doing exactly what we're doing. I think one of the most refreshing things about StartupBros, and a lot of gurus aren't like this, is I'll tell you straight up, there's 50 different ways to become successful. There's lots of different flavors of it, but at the core, like Brock has said, and like I keep saying, you got to take action. You got to go out there and just have fun with it. Take lots of action. Try lots of different things, and through that, you're just naturally going to figure out what works for you.
Yeah. So pretty awesome.
So there is Nochim's question. Hopefully that answers it, my friend. Let's see what else we got here. Mamad here said, did you order glasses from the U.S. and frame from overseas, or both from the U.S.? Excuse me.
Everything in the glasses was in the U.S. So. And
then the goggles, I'm assuming, were
frames China, and then I got the rest of the stuff from Germany.
And then did you ship everything from Germany to China to finish it there?
No, I didn't trust them.
Oh, so you shipped both of them separately to your house and then did it all at your house?
Yeah, we had an assembly plant in my house. We turned one of the rooms into an assembly room, and yeah.
Perfect. Again,
complete assembly.
Working on the fly. I love it. Most people wouldn't take the risk because they're thinking, what would I do if...
Yeah, and you know what really is hard? Coming up with your own packaging and instructions and everything like that. Like, figuring out the most efficient and safe way to package and do all that took me weeks to do all that, but it was pretty cool. I had my own product. Like, I did basically all of it, so it was pretty neat.
Yeah, that is cool. All right, Mamad's got another one here. He said, how did you manage to keep the price down comparing to other competitors importing from China? So, obviously you didn't have an issue with that after August 1st, but I mean, can you talk a little bit, I guess, about how you dealt with Chinese competitors and counterfeiters and things like that?
Yeah, so the Chinese competitors were not really yeah. I mean, there was people selling 10 for $4. I didn't care. I was selling 6 for 16 at the same time that they were selling 10 for 4. But people kept buying mine because mine were the best.
Yeah, and
Like,
I don't want to, offend Mamad here or anything, but the majority of people that I hear asking questions about how to keep prices down and just being afraid of Chinese suppliers and things like that, these are typically people that haven't sold on Amazon before. Because again, this is why the whole course and everything I do at StartupBros is all about premium, right? My e-commerce brand is the most premium it can be. We try to be premium in everything that we do because when you are a premium brand, you are not competing on price. If you are a good enough premium brand, you don't even have competition. You can go so good with your product and your branding and so premium that it's literally not even the same product, right? A Lamborghini is not even being compared when people go out to buy a car, right? It is a completely different category in and of itself. So if you go premium enough, you have no competition and you can set prices at whatever you want. If you are anything less than the most premium, then you're competing on price, and I don't think there's a way to win that in the long run. There's no way for someone that lives in the Western world, especially America, to compete on price forever. We can compete on quality and positioning and identity and brand forever, though. So do that.
yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It's honestly just the uniqueness. Wait, they have, if there's like a certain need and the cheaper one doesn't fulfill that need, then it doesn't matter how cheap it is, Like,
and if it's a real need too, they don't want the cheapest one, right? If I have like a medical problem, if I have flat feet, right? This is a perfect example. This is an actual example from the other day. So I have flat feet, and I put flat foot insoles for men in, and everything that came up here was like $16, $15, $11, all this stuff. I actually don't want these products. I went and bought this one because it's more expensive. So I think it's the exact same product, but again, I literally just paid, over twice as much for this product just because it's more expensive. I have no idea what the difference is between these two. They could be the exact same product with a different logo. I went with this one because it's priced higher. So again, if you're really solving pain points correctly, there's a segment of every market that wants to pay the most amount of money possible. They want the best of the best, and they don't care what it costs.
Yeah, I just bought some recording equipment, and I paid $900 for a freaking lavalier mic. Like, I don't know if it's the best for my money, but I'm trying to do some professional stuff on the side here, and I paid for it. So, I mean, yeah, there's people that'll pay the most.
Oh, absolutely. Mamad just came back on, so Mamad, hopefully you heard we just answered your question. So, let's see. Got a couple more here, and apologies, somehow the ordering of my questions just got screwed up. But so Kevin Foster here said, does Brock have an opinion on how many units to start with? So when you have a new product, what's your preferred kind of first and second order size?
Well, mine is kind of unique. I started with 25,000. So, but
that was the Eclipse glasses.
You'll probably never hear that. Yeah, I brought 25,000 glasses to start, but they were only a quarter a piece. So I mean, it was only it wasn't that much money compared to $7,000 or so. So something like that, maybe 75 or 60. Yeah, 6,250. There. So I mean, compared to what some other people pay. But I did it in bundles, and I just looked, and I said, I just did some basic analysis of it wasn't more so off how many glasses, because I sold them in 10, so it was actually only like about 2,500. Okay, but I was also doing I think it was like 5 and 10 packs or so. So they were actually, it was like a 1,200 of each listing or something like that I bought the initial of, and that was enough to. I think do 2 months because I knew the lead time. The lead time from my manufacturer was 30 days about. So, and then it got to my house, and then they would ship it to my house. So 30 days. So I suggest is buy 2 months of sales at the first page, because you're going to take off. Like this is if you know that you're going to be successful. Like I think I have a unique aspect on this, and I'm going to go hard on this product. I've done my research and vetted it. 2 months, because that's going to get you 1 month of sales data before you have to place your next purchase, assuming you can ship it air. You're going to see, well, don't go see your first time. That'd be my advice.
Yes, great advice. Sorry, we just got 4 more questions, so I had to get them in the queue here.
Okay.
Brock, do you care if I bring up a search result page that might possibly have your product on it? I mean, you've pretty much told everyone about the Eclipse glasses, so I'm not sure if you're trying to keep it hidden.
Yeah, you won't find them anywhere.
Okay, so they're not even on here right now.
No, I purposely decided I'm going to go public, and so I have like screenshots of it back in. I have to do some cleansing of those screenshots, but I plan to share that part of it in the future. But
yeah,
I have like images.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, someone asked, I think it was Julie Stackpole asked if she could see the product, which if you want to show that off, that'd be awesome. But just incredible, guys. Again,
I have them. I have the product here.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you can show us, that'd be cool too.
Yeah, one second.
While Brock's doing that, so 3 or 4 people asked about how to compete with Chinese competitors and low prices and just price-related questions in general. Here's the thing I want to point out to you guys. I think people overthink this business too much. The price doesn't matter. If someone's selling this thing at $5, no one's going to buy it. Because when people go to buy this product, they're trying to protect their eyesight. So I know when I went to buy this product, I was literally trying to spend the most money I possibly could. So it was, I think, the 2 days before the Eclipse. 2 days before the Eclipse, I got on Amazon. I said, okay, I need to buy this product for myself because I want to watch the Eclipse. That's awesome. Like steampunk style.
Oh yeah. So that was, and then I figured, all right, well, if these fail, I could just go to some raves and slowly sell them out over a couple of years. So
yeah, have a good time at them.
Well, yeah, I try to think about, well, what is the worst case scenario with this product? Like, is there some inherent value in it or utility? Like, that's another thing I try to think of.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing to think about as well. So again, guys, I was just saying this, Brock, when you walked away. Like, I went to buy this product 2 days before the Eclipse, and it was already a news story that tons of these things were fake and tons of them were uncertified and people are going to go blind. So I went to this page trying to spend the most money I possibly could on Eclipse glasses because I don't know what the hell fake Eclipse glasses cost versus real certified Eclipse glasses, and I don't know the intricacies of that. So most people went on and just bought the most expensive Eclipse glasses they could find. If you were a Chinese seller selling for, I think Brock said it was $4 for 10 of them, no one's going to buy it because they don't trust it. That's the whole reason they're buying this product is protect their eyesight. So of course they're going to spend a little bit extra to actually protect them.
Exactly. Yeah. So I completely agree, and that was I was the most expensive the entire Eclipse season, and so that strategy played out pretty well for me.
Yeah, that's a great place. I think that's the best place to possibly be. Anyone that tried to underprice you, like you are in the one market that I would expect to see people overpricing each other, like reverse repricing.
Yeah, the only part where it worked to be underpriced was in the beginning, just when the sales weren't as like when there wasn't fear and it was kind of people planning ahead of time for like groups, because then they were trying to be more economical, and then
Yeah.
that got them reviews in the beginning.
Once the fear kicked in, and once on August 1st, when there were all these news stories about how Amazon was selling bad Eclipse glasses, um, I can see why that would dip Amazon sales a little bit. But people like me, I was on Amazon's website trying to buy it. I was just trying to spend more money on it than I would have. So the fear really helped you, I think.
Yes,
All right. So and
absolutely.
yeah. So Brock's got these glasses here. I'd assume that you had like a pair. Obviously, you had a pair of these kind of standard cutout ones too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I would imagine you have so many of these glasses. You gotta have hundreds,
I have
if
like
not thousands, of
I
glasses.
have like 80 to 100,000 glasses.
And again, a great point. Again, like most people never take action because they are worried too much about ending up with 80 to
Ooh, ooh,
100,000
ooh.
units when
That's
it's
why I
all
made
said and done.
that's why I made so much money. I made the conscious decision, and I did the math, and I said I bet everybody's afraid. One, nobody goes into seasonal products because everybody's afraid of this fear that you're left with product at the end. And you know what happens the last week? Everybody in the world goes to Amazon, and nobody overbought because they're all afraid. And when they would have done the math, when you're making like on some of these, when you're making 100 times your money, as long as you sell 2% of your product, guess what? You doubled your money. It doesn't matter if the other 98% or 99 doesn't sell. Like, so supply and demand gets crazy at the end of a seasonal product, and if you play it right, you can kill it.
Yeah, and like you said, like dead inventory isn't necessarily a bad thing. If you overstock, you can, especially if it's a product like this that's going to sell out and people don't usually restock it. Um, so seasonal, especially extreme seasonality like this, overbuying could end up getting you 50% of the total market sales, which it sounds like it almost did here.
Yeah, I did the math, and I projected everything on a line, and then I just had that gut feeling that it was all going to sell.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, though. If you look at I actually I underbought. I would have sold more, but but my revenue, you see my revenue go like, but that's only because I had to raise my price so high. But there was such demand that I could have actually sold even more units.
Wow. That is nuts. All right, so that answers someone's question. Um, Aaron's got a question here. He said, okay, we got that one. Let's see what else we got here. Lots of questions piling up. We're going to get through them. We're like halfway through them, so we're getting there.
It's all good.
Julie, you definitely see what those products look like now. And yeah, Julie, the other product that he's talking about is just standard solar eclipse glasses like this. I know he had a custom design and everything, but it's just these standard paper glasses. That's one of his other products. And then I guess you also had the solar eclipse photo lens or photo filter, which is
Yeah, so it's kind of something like that.
it gives you the idea.
Yeah, it was like that to a certain extent,
Yeah,
but
hopefully it was
yeah,
that expensive.
it could have been, but
You live and you learn.
yeah.
All right, so we are getting through questions. Kevin Foster said, "What was your startup capital like?" And I know yours was a little funky because you did retail and online arbitrage before you got into this business. So I guess can you
Yeah,
give
well,
them advice?
when I started Amazon, my startup capital was um $100. Like it's that was it. I just opened up a credit card and did arbitrage and learned and made money because of that. But when I started with these Eclipse glasses, um, I mean, my initial investment was $6,200. Uh, Granted, I had more capital to continue to fund sales that went on, but that's kind of irrelevant in my opinion because it helped me fuel the fire as it went on, but I never, like if you look at a graph of my total amount of money, I never went like in the negative. It was always like money's coming in, okay, buy more. All right, now it's coming in, buy even more. Like sales just exploded so fast that I was able to deploy more of the capital that I had. But I honestly don't know. I had $80,000 roughly, but I didn't use all of it, you know? So
So one day some accountant is going to have to put this all together, and we'll figure it out.
I actually do all my accounting and taxes.
Do you?
Yeah, I just work with a CFA to like file.
Yeah.
But I do. I probably should outsource all of my stuff, but
Probably. I'm dealing with an issue with my books right now, so even outsourced accountants aren't perfect, but you're basically doing it one way or another.
yeah.
But you just pay someone else to actually put the transactions in. So I got a bunch of questions about inventory limits. So you mentioned at one point putting inventory limits on your products and how that can protect your inventory. I got probably 6 people that asked, what is your recommended number for purchase limits? And obviously it's going to differ from product to product, but can you put your insight on that?
Well, I don't know. Look at the market. Who's going to buy it? Why? So, I mean, if I'm selling packages of 5, let's say, but there's packages of 50 out there, why would they buy Why would they buy 100 packages of 5 at such a higher price point? So, like, could you miss out on a bulk purchase? Maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one to know. I just looked at my sales data. That's how I determined it. Who is actually buying like large bulk amounts? And there was really no one buying over 20. So I think I set it to about 25, maybe 50, because whatever. Like if 50 go away, it's not a big deal, but 900 is a big deal, or 4,000.
Yeah, I think if you have sales data, that's definitely the best way to do it, because then you actually have data that you're basing it on. Short of that, though, intuition and gut instinct. You know, look at, like, if it's this photo lens, I can't really imagine anyone buying more than one of these, but maybe someone would buy 5. My purchase limit on something like this would probably be 5 or 10. Why? I just feel like that's the right amount. I would probably go with 10 because I'm a little bit more risk tolerant. If you're really scared about it, then you take it down to 5, but that's probably a good place to start. And then if you have people that are messaging you and saying, hey, I want to buy more, well, then you should jack up your purchase limit. But that's really the way to do it. Heather Moss asked me, is that another pair right there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Are those Eclipse glasses too?
No, they're Trippy Rave glasses, but this is how I found out about the goggles.
Looks like, yeah, same supplier.
And then I ordered these because I was going to sell Rave stuff. And then I got a inquiry, and then I like researched about the other lenses I could potentially put in it, and I got the lenses from Germany, and then I just like out of the back of my head I was like, I wonder if they fit inside of these Rave goggles, and they fit perfectly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the serendipity throughout your story is great. Because, you know, so many entrepreneurs are so data focused and they're trying to find the numbers to prove every action they take. But you're seems like a lot of serendipity and a lot of action taken, which I love to see.
You got to take action and then evaluate. I would analyze, act, like, you know, you do it all before, but don't just analyze and get stuck. You just got to get out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because even if you screw up, you'll stumble your way into something great. Or at least better than a 9-to-5 job. At least better than the insurance company.
If I wouldn't have gone to the Canton Fair, I wouldn't have found out about the Eclipse glasses. If I wouldn't have tried to sell the Rave goggles, I wouldn't have found out about these goggles and then put it together, and that way I did over 600,000 just in the goggles. So like, you know, there's going to be a success out of your failure, even if you fail. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you knew how much I talked about these concepts on our weekly webinars, everyone here is probably like, yeah, we've heard this all before, but it's great to hear. So Aaron has a good question here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more questions. So we're gonna have to start lightning rounding this. I don't want to keep you too late, but Aaron's got a good question that I'm going to save to the end because that's a good ending question. David said, did your supplier have any issues keeping up with your sales surges? And how did you communicate this to your supplier? Did you tell your supplier, hey, I'm putting in this $6,200 order and God knows what happens next sort of thing? Or?
I talked with him on the phone. Like I talked with the owner of the factory. I got to know him. I got his personal cell number, so we had a relationship. And he would call me and we would talk, and he would tell me about like how much he was producing, and so I don't remember exactly how many glasses he could make. I think he could make like 200,000 a day though. So like,
I got you.
but I mean it was a while. Like I had the lead time. You know, it still was 30 days for my lead time on everything.
Yeah, and so obviously you had such great margin on that product that you were able to over order and not really worry about it too much. So it just shows you too.
My margin in the beginning was only like 38. Okay. But I mean, it's very important. Let's see, because if I look at, yeah, you can go on about that. I'll just look at my margin quick.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have, the larger your margin is, the more you're able to order and turn it around into cash again. So that's one benefit to a high margin product. I'd imagine this product, you know, I don't have to imagine, I guess, but I know this product is small, light, simple to ship, durable. So it kind of ticks everything on the list of the product criteria that you guys get. And this is one of the reasons why I am always talking about margin and how important it is too. Because if you have great margins like this, you're able to over order a little bit and leave yourself some padding. If you have if your first order with the product is just breaking even, or if it's just 5-10% margin, it's much tougher to kind of do the inventory forecasting. But
5-10% margin, no, don't do that. Okay, yeah, so I got my margin, and I was at a 32% margin in the beginning month or so.
And this is net margin. You're talking net margin after fees and everything, right?
Yeah, after fees, after PPC, after everything. Yeah, so that's what I was at.
So I mean, that's an incredible margin then, yeah. Because I'm generally talking about just gross margin to compare products. If that's net margin with everything, including PPC and advertising in there, that's a great margin.
I think overall my net margin was upwards of 50%.
Yeah, that's outrageous. That's outrageous.
Yeah.
You may have won Amazon, my friend. I don't know if anyone's gonna.
I won the lottery. I've kind of thought of that myself.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's going to, because there were a good 2 or 3 things here that just lined up perfectly for you. Again, it's definitely not luck or anything. You're the only one taking those risks. You are sacrificing the time, making it happen. You're literally the reason that Amazon even realized they needed to care about these Eclipse glasses. So it's certainly not luck or anything. But holy cow, did a lot of things. You made a lot of correct assumptions that really panned out right for you.
I know, right? It was, yeah. I got obsessed with it, and I just thought, and go with my intuition, and just boom.
Yeah, that's what you gotta do. All right, let's see. We're working through questions. We got just a few left. Nochim here said, does Brock feel like the key to how he had success was due to his studying psychology and algorithms, or can you get listings rolling with basic keyword knowledge for the PPC and some EBC, which is enhanced brand content?
Well, okay, what is the point of keywords, is my question. To give you visibility. Okay. So, like, all that it matters is keywords, all they do, that's it, is allow you to rank. What you do once you rank is what matters. So, if you don't have a good converting listing, or you don't have the right stuff there, okay, you can rank for a word and you'll be on page 800. You know, like, just ranking. So keywords don't do much. It's about your display of, I mean, I noticed he mentioned enhanced brand content, which was, that's the only part I'm confused about. I mean, enhanced brand content can be powerful because you can make a good listing with that.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off. I think what he might be trying to ask is, should I go study psychology and algorithms, or should I go get rolling with listings, PPC, EBC, et cetera, et cetera?
I think that you should look at products that you bought and then look at that keyword and say, why did you buy that? And then you know, and then well, start answering those questions. Okay, well, that's the basic psychology. Like you have to somehow remove your head from it of like what you've been thinking about and just see like what influences people to buy, click and buy. Like that's what it just comes down to.
And it's not, and correct me if I'm wrong, Brock, but I don't think Brock is saying that he is studying psychology so much as he's studying human nature, studying influence, studying why people are doing things. It doesn't mean he's going out and buying like a textbook and doing some homework on it or something. It just means that he got obsessed with it and he started reading blog posts, he started doing podcasts, he started really deeply thinking about why people were taking the actions they were taking and how that affected the algorithm and how human influence and interaction influences the algorithm. So I don't think Brock is, I don't think he, or at least I don't think he's saying go out and, don't do anything on Amazon, don't start your business, just go study algorithms and psychology. I think what he's saying is that helped him a lot, but it was really him just being obsessed with it. It's not that he like went and enrolled in some college courses or something and got some textbooks. He lived, breathed, and just lived and breathed sales psychology and algorithms for a few weeks until he mastered it. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of that, Brock.
Yeah. No, I pay. Well, I've listened. Okay, so I mean, I never went out and I never even took a psychology class. But what I do is, I had a speech minor, and I did independent studies on nonverbal communications and facial expressions and everything. And so I really got interested by, oh, wait, the littlest things influence people. So you can't hide your true emotions. It's all on your face and your body. If you're an expert, you can read that. But what I learned is, like, if I say something if I say something that is offensive to you, you cannot hide it. I will be able to tell if it's even for a 1/100th of a second. So just from that in general, certain things make us trigger, and we do that. So it's just like certain things trigger people and they buy on Amazon. That's what it works. Like when you look at a keyword page, like one of those listings is going to trigger you for some reason. It's going to catch your eye, and that's the whole point of your first photo. Can you think of YouTube clickbait or anything? It's get that to like. So don't go out and just study psychology, but just know the most important parts of the algorithm are your click-through rate. People got to click on your thing. And then now that's the whole point of the first photo. And then now you go into the psychology. Well, what's going to make them buy now? Okay, so it's just applied psychology, kind of like why would you buy stuff?
Yeah, and I don't think you need to go buy any books to do that. There are good books out there on influence and psychology. Obviously, there's tons of great blog posts about the Amazon algorithm. So we have I think we have one of the best ones out there from what I hear. I think Brock, you even read this article.
Oh, I read this one. Oh, yeah, I've read it like 3 times.
So hopefully this one's got Brock's seal of approval. So you can check those out for the actual algorithm things. If you're really wanting to get into algorithms, there's a good book called Algorithms to Live By. I don't know if you want to get that deep into algorithms, but I mean it is a useful thing to know. It's just I'd
say it's probably the most valuable skill to know in the 21st century, because Facebook you want to get your posts shown to everybody? Do you want to get anything? Everything is chosen by an algorithm. So it is a valuable skill. But you don't need it to be successful on Amazon. That's a great thing. If you have a good product, you take good images, the algorithm would just love you. So you don't need to know how it works.
And I think if you read a couple blog posts and listen to a couple podcasts about the algorithm, you're going to get enough of an understanding to get started. If you want to go really deep into it, check out that book. And then what else was we talking about? Algorithm. Oh, and influence. Tons of good books on influence. You don't want to read a psychology book. Psychology book is not going to do it for you.
No.
There's a lot of good books on influence and things like that. I could go to my bookshelf and grab a bunch of good ones, but if you want to email me or something, I'll send you some. Brock, do you have any, book recommendations?
Influence by Robert Cialdini or whatever his name is. That's probably one of the best. And it talks about how one of the intro stories is there was a jeweler, okay, and they had some jewelry, and it wasn't selling, and it was at $50, and they said to put it down to 50% off, but for some reason the storekeeper thought he said increase it to $500. Yes, there we go. So what he did was he increased the price to $500, and it sold in 1 day, and it hadn't sold in months. And the only thing that happened was people's perceived value of it from 50 to 500. Oh, I want that now. Diamonds aren't worth anything in my opinion. It's just their perceived value and people want them. So high price.
Yeah, this might be a controversial statement, but I mean, look at Bitcoin.
Right? Oh, nobody wanted it, but now the price is going up, and they're like, "Ooh, I want some Bitcoin."
Yeah, but it's not a bubble. Everyone's buying it. Everyone's buying it because they feel left out, but it's not a bubble. I don't know. I got Bitcoin. We'll see what happens. But
I had 10, but it all got stolen. So.
Oh, really? That's rough. That's rough, especially when you said you started with 80,000. So that's your entire starting bankroll right there.
Yep.
To start a life with that.
Whatever.
So yeah, the influence book's a really good one. That's actually the one I was looking for. I don't know, Steve. That's probably your copy, knowing you, but somewhere around here I have a copy. So that's a great book. Don't spend too much time on that aspect of it though, because what Brock's talking about here, this is simple question and answer. Everyone already knows this psychology that we're talking about. If you've bought a product on Amazon or online before, you are this psychology. You just need to, like Brock said, really start to think deeply about the production side of it rather than the consumer side of it, and really think about why would someone, if I'm searching for black pens, why would someone click this one, mine, over this one? And you just really need to start thinking about that. Where's the click-through happening? Why are they clicking through to this listing over this listing?
That was the one I was going to click to.
Yeah, it's a good listing. I'll tell you what.
Yeah. Just do that. Test. Bring your friends in. Which one of these would you click on? Do that to yourself. Just start looking and take pictures, screenshots of the ones that got you to click. That's what I do because I'm starting my YouTube channel. I just take all the thumbnails and I screenshot things that got my attention. Now, once you have a big library of things that get your attention, it's like your own creativity space there now. You could take and pull aspects. So.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And it's important to realize that this mostly happens on a subconscious level. It's not like when people search for black pens, it's not like they're saying well, this image is better than this image, so I guess I'll click on this one. It's all happening instantly on a subconscious level. So me and Brock wanted to click this one. I think this one probably performs well.
it shows that there's a large amount of quantity in that white space in negative. That's what I really like about it.
Yeah, and it begs the question, why is this one so much better than this one? Because they're almost the same thing, and it's that contrast, I think, and just showing the product out
And
of
those
the
two
package.
pens, they took those two pens, because if they would have been all symmetrical, it would be one thing, but they kind of, like, I don't know, that kind of...
Yeah. No, it looks great. And the interesting thing, too, is I think females are probably more drawn to this one and this one. I would assume. I don't know that. But I would assume that females are more drawn to these designs, whereas males just instantly go for this one, I would imagine. But
I could see that.
we're getting off the beaten trail, I guess. But yeah, I mean that's so to round out your question, Nochum. It sounds like Brock took you through what he studied when it came to psychology and algorithms. So I want to be careful. I don't want to say like you should go study algorithms and master algorithms, because like you got to learn how to program all of a sudden. This is a multi-year endeavor. But you should have familiarity with these things and just understand the thought process that Brock is taking you through, because that's the more valuable piece of it. Just knowing that Brock has looked at psychology stuff, we've all looked at psychology stuff. It's the way of thinking and how he's deriving these decisions. That's what's really important.
Yes.
All right. Let's see. I have just a couple more questions. So we're at the tail end of this, and I appreciate you hanging out for it's called GSD Power Hour. It usually goes 2 hours. Tonight's going to go 3, so I appreciate you staying.
It's all I love Q&A, so no worries.
Good stuff. All right, we got a couple more. Let's see. Michael McConnell said, if you had invented a product that was way different and way better than anyone else, where would you start trying to find an appropriate MSRP? And it sounds like you basically did that with your premium goggles. So with your premium goggles, there was no one else selling them. How did you figure out what the appropriate price was? Did you mess with the price at all?
Well, you look at your cost, and then when you look at that, how unique is it? Yeah, I mean, there's some economic standpoint to it where you need to take into account what are the alternatives, and do you truly solve? Is it just an aesthetic need, or is it a utilitarian need? If it's a utilitarian need and nobody can compete flat out, and you're the only one that can solve that utility, you have freedom to price whatever you want as long as it's affordable and justifiable. So, but if it's just like a design aesthetic, I don't know. That's more difficult. But what I was looking at, it was basically everybody was selling at $1.50 per pair of goggles or something like that, or per glasses. And I came in, and I think I originally did $20 for one pair of goggles. So I was over 10x what everybody else was, and then I moved it up to 30. So, because I mean, it's still at $30. It's whatever. So once in a while, it's the cost of a movie ticket, or like a really expensive movie. So, I mean, it matters like how expensive your product is.
Yeah. I'm answering a text question via text here.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, so let me take us back to the questions, and we got just a couple more. Heather Moss said, I'd love to get Will's thoughts about Amazon's new coupon options for promotions. I would actually have to look that up. I'm not super familiar with their new coupon options. I know they have them, but I haven't looked at them in depth yet, at least not enough to give advice on them. Brock, have you played with Amazon's new coupon options at all yet?
No, I haven't.
We'll get there, though, Heather. We'll get there. We're not perfect.
It might work. It might, like, from my understanding, promotions and coupons and stuff like that, you could tweak your algorithm. You could tweak, like, and maybe increase your sales by 3 to 5%. Maybe, if you implement those things right. I mean, yeah, if you got a bunch of products up and running, pay attention to that. But if you don't, forget it. Like, it's not important right now.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Keith Marcel, what's up, buddy? He has quite a question here, so let me see if I can get through this. So Keith is making and launching a product this week, essentially out of his garage, that he doesn't think he can scale without getting it made and packaged overseas. It's a really simple product that can easily be made and private labeled by anyone. If it sells well, he will try to source it. He will have to give different potential sources his designs. Any suggestions on how to keep supplier loyalty and not have 10 different listings on Alibaba offering to put other people's private label on it? I currently have a U.S. supplier, and he agreed to sign an NDA. Is there any legal document I could sign overseas with a supplier? I'll let you get that first, Brock.
Yeah, so I would take a look at what is the cost. I mean, the cost of the product would be huge to me. Like, is this a product that is going to cost you $4 and you could be $3 if you went to China? Or is this a product that costs you $50 here and it could be $28 if you went to China? I think those are the types of questions you need to ask. If there's not that much marginal gain, why go to China? I like the supply and the lead time and the trust and the loyalty of sourcing from the United States, and then I can just throw made in the USA. I can throw USA flags and logos on my thing, and I can recoup that cost in a heartbeat. And then I can really like connect on a more branding level with my customers than if you're importing from China. But and it also matters like how technologically difficult is this? Is it just a new mold, or is it requiring circuitry to be made and then software added into it? Because that's going to be, there's so many levels to go into it that it's a tough one to answer. But
yeah,
I would suggest like to just do the cost benefit analysis, and could you just test the product in the United States, and if it works and you start making a lot of money, then go to China if it makes sense. Like, what is going to be the fastest time to market? That's what you care. If you have a unique new invention, it might not even work. So why go through all the hassle of finding a product supplier in China and everything? So that's my opinion.
Yeah, great advice there. And then to answer the other part of your question, Keith, which is I think how to protect your IP. There's really no way to protect your IP. You can get a Chinese patent. It's pretty expensive. It's a very confusing process. That's one thing you can do, but it's at least 6 figures to get that done properly. You can sign contracts with your supplier, but they're probably not going to care that much. If you do sign contracts with your supplier, they have to be custom made because Chinese contracts, in order to be enforceable, have to be written in Chinese as well as English. So you're going to have to get custom documentations drafted or custom documents drafted. So that's going to be super expensive, and the Chinese factory is just not going to care. Now, what's the flip side? The flip side is you go out and get a patent and you protect the hell out of this thing, and then it blows up and it starts selling like crazy, and then all of those same suppliers counterfeit your product anyways because they don't care about U.S. patents.
But that's what you want to happen, because then now you just sit back and let everybody sell it, and then take them to court.
Oh yeah, you can definitely,
like, assuming that they're U.S. sellers, let them sell.
Yeah.
Let them sell for a while, and then well, thank you for selling my product. I'm coming after you for all the profits, and so if you got a patent, but yeah.
Yeah, you can literally negotiate a royalty. There's a lot of people in this program, at least 3 people I can think of that are selling their product, and then every one of their competitors they're getting a royalty from because they have the IP for it.
That's awesome.
So they're letting other people sell the product. They're just taking the royalty on every other competitor's product. So So it's another thing. I don't think there's a really effective way for new entrepreneurs and new sellers to protect IP in China. I just don't think there's a way to do it because large companies with millions of dollars can't protect their IP. Like if Louis Vuitton can't protect their IP, I got no chance. So we have to account for it in different ways, and like Brock said, dealing with it stateside is typically a much better, more effective, cheaper option for you.
Yeah, that's definitely what I would suggest.
Yeah, and so Keith, like you can get a Chinese supplier to sign an NDA if you want. It's just it doesn't mean anything. Like you can sue them, but it's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. And then once you do sue them, they're not going to give you any money, and you're going to have to sue them again to enforce the judgment.
You could go there and make a relationship with them, and look at them in the eyes and tell them you're going to break their fucking legs if they do anything with it. That would probably be one of the most strongest things that you could do.
Yeah,
in all honesty.
Yeah, that's probably the
My
most
friend
solid.
found someone who was counterfeiting him, and he had one of his guys in China find the company and went there and called them and said, we're going to come and destroy your place and break your legs if you continue to do this. And they stopped. I don't suggest anybody do it.
Yeah,
But,
more common than you would think in China, though.
Yeah, but like there's like that's the thing. It's not based off anything except like trust.
Yeah, exactly. It's all relationship based, from the government down, nepotism down. But all right, let's see what else we got. I think that might have been our final question. Kevin said, "Haha, go Brock." All right, cool. Well, I think that might be it. Steve, do you know if I am missing any questions here that I need to go back and answer? Oh, actually, Irela's got our last question here. So I think I have our last question. And
how about
any
Rhonda?
other?
Rhonda had a question about the algorithm book that you were mentioning earlier. She was just wondering the title.
Oh yeah, yeah. Do you know the name of the algorithm book you were talking about, Brock? I'd assume it's the one I showed.
I was talking about an algorithm book?
I thought you were. You say you read a book about algorithm. You might have just done a lot of research.
No, I took a whole series of courses on SEO from Coursera, I think.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so that, and then I also have a computer science degree, so that kind of helps. But I just like to understand how things work at a fundamental level. But you just need to know the most important variables, and that's your click-through rate and your conversion and how many sales you get. How people interact with. Are people like really interacting and engaging with your listing and buying it? Like that's what it really could. Just think of all the ways that they could touch your listing in a good way, and optimize each one of those parts, and you'll win.
Yeah, I'm. Jump in if you disagree with me here, Brock. I'm probably going to discourage people from taking this Coursera course.
No, don't take that.
Yeah.
That took me months.
This is like if you have you basically if you don't have a degree in computer science, this is going to take twice as long at least to go through. So
minimum. So yeah.
So you don't need to understand everything about algorithms to do this stuff. I'm telling you, you just need to know how Amazon's algorithm works, why it's working the way it's working, what is Amazon's end goal in the algorithm. When Amazon goes to re-optimize their algorithm and update their algorithm, what are they trying to get closer to? If you can answer those questions, you probably know as much about the algorithm as you need to know. And then again, the thought process that Brock is using is the really valuable piece there. How he's thinking about how people get onto his listing and how that affects the algorithm, that's really what I think you should take away from this. So.
Absolutely.
Cool. Let's see. I got 2 questions left, and feel free, guys, if you have any other questions, pop them in there. Irela said, I want to know more about how to search and source great quality products. I'm having trouble finding them, or are my standards too high? So where do you find, I guess the question here is, where do you find great quality suppliers?
Ooh, one thing that I have learned is that nobody take this as a discouragement. Just take it as a point of a trend that I've seen. That think about the history of suppliers in China. They were always used to big retail buyers coming in, big retail buyers, and then now a couple of years ago it was like, oh, okay, private labelers, like we don't know what that is. But they're starting to learn what private labelers are. So some of the very best quality suppliers, they're not on Alibaba. I can tell you that. A lot of them aren't. There are suppliers on China's, but you got to think like the ones that are looking for business, like, you know, the really good suppliers are going to have like a 5,000 MOQ, like the top end high quality ones. So you're either, it's not a bad idea to use a sourcing agent to go find out these new ones, who these other types of suppliers are, if you're really looking for a top end, high end quality supplier. But it matters what type of industry you're looking at. Now, if we're just making silicone pieces in simple products, it doesn't matter how good your supplier is. It's just an injection mold. You need to think of all the processes, like, and how technical your product is. That's what I would suggest. If you really want to, go to the Canton Fair. I know a lot of those guys aren't even on Alibaba anymore, and it saves a bunch of time. But you don't need to go there. But if you have a really high technical product, you're going to have to go through other sources than just Alibaba.
Yeah, I think that's good advice. So I will not add anything onto that one. If you have any further questions about that, feel free to pop them in. Yeah, Julie Stackpole saw you posting on Facebook way back when in the other Facebook group. So she was just saying, awesome to see how far you've come.
Oh, well, thank you. I have some fans other than the trolls. So
blowing up. All right, so I got last question here. Guys, any further questions, go ahead and pop them in. I know this is probably our longest GSD session ever. I think it was well worth it, but so I think we're officially out of questions here. But any further questions, go ahead and drop them in. Last question for you, Brock, possibly. We already answered this one too. Aaron must have gotten up when we answered this. He said, how do you handle pricing differences between Amazon and company websites? Like we said, Aaron, I don't think Brock worried about it at all. And I don't think there was much to handle. Again, less than 1% of your customers are even going to see it, and probably 1% of the people that see it, or say 10% of the people that see it are going to care enough to go out of their way and email you and all this stuff. So it's just another fear-based question, honestly, in my head. I think you got to get away from these fear-based questions, and as you've heard Brock say over and over again, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen if there's different pricing on Amazon and Shopify? You have to refund a couple people? All right, that doesn't sound too bad. So, just the energy to even come up with a question, I just don't think it's something you need to worry about. So,
yeah, that's actually a framework that I've used for the years that I feel that has really helped me. I always here's the number one rule. I kind of always take Warren Buffett's number one rule is when you're doing investments, just don't lose money and you'll win. So I analyze, I look at my situations, and I think, well, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen here? And I chose these Eclipse glasses, and I was like, well, they're going to sell out because the people will need them. I could always sell them down. It's utilitarian. It's a good product. It's like my design is unique. I will sell them. With the retail arbitrage, like, there's been proven demand. It's going to sell. Blah 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 blah. So, like, if you just think of it when you're going in, like, you have a unique pitch? If you do, you'll probably be able to sell it out over the next 2 years. And just take smart, calculated risks, but you got to go fast too. So,
great advice there as well. And I think that's pretty good advice to end it on, honestly. I wish I just asked you any parting advice, because that'd be perfect. But yeah, no, this has been awesome, Brock, and it's very serendipitous us meeting on the plane ride back too, because like I said, if my girlfriend's home now, so if I asked her, she'd be like, oh my God, yes, but I do not talk to people on planes. I am just absolutely unavailable on plane flights. But yeah, it was great. It was great to meet you on our plane flight, and serendipitous, like I said, to have you in here. I think it's an incredible story, inspirational story, and really goes to show you guys, you don't need to know everything. As every single one of these interviews that we've done so far, guys, you don't need to know everything to get out there and literally make millions of dollars. So get out there and make millions of dollars, right? Brock, thanks for being here, man. Any parting advice, feel free to drop it in. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so my parting advice would just honestly be to just think about why you're doing what you're doing with this, and to have a good reason, to just have the end goal in sight, and to try to think about your steps just in a way that is going to make you happy. Like, your life is just a series of moments. So to try, like, if you're just starting or something, go into something that you've got interest in, because you're going to be working on it every day. And if you're going to be successful, you got to work hard. So you might as well be working on something you like, and it's going to give you freedom. And for those who are already successful, I encourage you to not just choose the best-selling product on Jungle Scout. It may make you the most money, but eventually you'll make enough money, because this is the best opportunity to become a millionaire in the world right now, is Amazon FBA. If you're already there, switch to something you love. If you're just starting, start with something you at least like.
Yeah, great advice there. All right, Brock, well, I'm going to hit you up after this, and I will get the video you referenced and make sure we include that for everyone, along with a couple links to your YouTube channel and everything, so everyone can follow you if they want to. And, yeah, thanks again, man, for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And you see the question marks blowing up right now. Tons of people saying thank you, inspirational, really awesome. Yeah, so great stuff, man. I'm also going to get you in our community, because it's a paid community.
Is that a Shia LaBeouf joke there? I think I heard.
Oh, did someone say that? Oh, yeah.
I don't know if they meant it to be, but anyway, sorry.
I don't know. Julie's a jokester. She probably meant it. But we'll get you in the Facebook group too, because yeah, it's a paid Facebook group. But we'll make you our first honorary member of the community. So then you can go
that'd be awesome.
shoving in that other guy's face. But all right, cool. Well, thanks everyone for being here. Hopefully you got a ton of value out of today's session. I thought it was a great session and tons of great questions. I think everyone got a lot of value out of this. So guys, the next step, if you couldn't guess already, the next step is to go out and take action. You got to turn this stuff into actual actions. You have to turn it into the result you want. Just knowing things is terrible. Just knowing things is not going to get you anywhere. You got to go out there and actually act on what you've learned here today, act on this inspiration, and turn it into something tangible. Turn it into a real asset for your business. So don't just leave here and think, man, that Brock guy's awesome. Get out there and take some of this magic for yourself, and get out there and build your business and build assets in your business, because that's what it's all about, guys. So thanks again for being here, everyone. Thanks again to Brock. Hopefully, I assume I'll get to see you again one day, Brock, but I don't know when. So
I'm sure you will. Don't worry.
Yeah, so we'll see each other at an event or something soon. All right, cool. Well, I got nothing left here. So guys, thanks for being here. Thanks, Brock, for being here. Great to get to know you better. Thanks to Steve for managing the question box and everything. And I suppose I will see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, everyone. Have a great Thanksgiving as well. Spend lots of time with the family, and then get back to work, because Thanksgiving is during the week this year. So Saturday, Sunday, we're back to work. I'll see you guys here. And once again, I'll see you next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thanks again for being here, everyone. Thanks again to Brock. Good night. Goodbye. Much love.
Hey, goodbye, everybody.
Yeah.